welcome to Directly to You. It's our podcast. We're fanatixfour. I'm AJ of fanatixfour. I'm joined by Parker, also of fanatixfour. We didn't do this last week, so for whatever reason, it just feels kind of weird. It feels like I haven't done it in a month. You could support this show by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour or twitch.tv/fanatixfour, giving us $4.99. Or if you're on Twitch specifically, you can link your Twitch account to your Amazon account. You get, if you got Amazon Prime, of course. You can't just do that if you don't have it. You know,
True.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Jeff Bezos gives money, but he's not going to give that much money. You know, not just for any Amazon user. But anyway, yeah, you can support us there. I stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. The time may change on Wednesday because when I stream with Lee, we usually stream earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And now we want to specifically stream tournaments, like we want to like enter online Smash tournaments. And so that's just going to depend on whenever the tournament starts.
Mm-hmm.
So follow there and ring the bell or whatever. Also ring the bell on our other channels because YouTube likes that apparently. But you get loyalty badges, you get emotes, you get gaming time with us specifically on the streams. We're looking for people to play Smash with or 3D World or whatever the case may be. Just, it's right there. You can go on and name Nuzlocke Pokemon, et cetera, so on and so forth. Or you could just join the Discord regardless because it's linked in the description and it's free for everybody. You can say hi to Duncan. You can say hi to Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Probably say hi to Val. She might be hanging out there. I don't know.
You never know.
But anyway, you play video games.
Yeah, man. The elephant in the room is going to be that my audio is worse and my background is worse because we're, again, moving stuff around. So sorry about that, everybody, but, who cares? It'll be better in the future. In any case, playing some games. Yeah, some just kind of like continuing on some backlog kinds of things. What I would have talked about last week that I just started and we'll talk about now, but we didn't have the podcast last week, is I've been playing Blue Fire, which is the one that I think a lot of people were talking about it
The Wind
last
Waker
week.
game.
Yeah, kind of. So it's, graphics wise, it's very Wind Waker. It's like a blend in a lot of ways of like a 3D Hollow Knight kind of with more Zelda dungeons, essentially.
Miska said, I think she said it reminds her of Twilight Princess, and the combat is like better Kingdom Hearts because I
Interesting.
rated
Okay.
her when she was playing it.
I could see that. Yeah, and so I think some of my thoughts on that is like, yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the upgrades and stuff because they, like you can eventually like double jump and wall run and wall jump and those kinds of things, which make the platforming more fun. And there's like little challenge room kinds of things that like at the beginning, the challenge rooms end up being kind of frustrating because they're supposed to be kind of hard, and that's how you get like heart upgrades. And you do one fairly early on that I thought like that was the main part of the gameplay loop, and then I was like, oh man, I don't know that I'm gonna like this game. But then when I realized that wasn't like the main thing, and that's like kind of a additional side
Like
bonus
a thing.
yeah, then it was way better. And then since then, like the world is very Dark Souls in terms of the map, in that you're always unlocking what's the word I'm looking for? Shortcuts. That's the one. Shortcuts from like one area that you've been to, and
Like
there's a gate
checkpoints.
somewhere. Yeah, pretty much. So like you're in an area, you have to go the long way around somewhere, and then later you can come back and then
It's like
open up a little gate.
Metroidvania type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So very much all of those things. I wouldn't necessarily say that I like it as much as all of those other things that I separately like really well, but it's still really good. So like it's a lot like Hollow Knight, but the platforming isn't quite as precise or something like that. Kind of really just because it's in 3D instead of 2D, so it's just like there's an extra axis to have to take into consideration. So, and then there's just like some frustrating bits here and there, but all in all, I'm really enjoying it. So I've played about 8 hours of it so far. I've finished, I think, 2 or 3 of the temples out of maybe 5, I think is how many there are. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's great. So I'll keep playing it, let everybody know how it finishes up. But if you like those things, if all those keywords of Zelda, Hollow Knight, um, Dark Souls, and all that resonate with you, then probably a game worth checking out. Blue
Gotcha.
Fire. There you go.
Okay, so mostly what I've been playing on stream, but there
Yeah.
is one thing that I like dipped in and out of a little bit, other than that, and that's
Mm-hmm.
Cyber Shadow. I still think the
Right.
game's really
Of
cool.
course.
But I think Max was talking about this on Twitter where it's like it's kind of reminiscent of Shovel Knight, where it's like a lot of it is like this is like classic old games, like the ones that stood the test of
Mm-hmm.
time and weren't just hard for the sake of being hard.
Right.
But a lot of times it's like if you died, you feel like it's your fault. This game, that's true a lot of the time, but it's not true all of the time. A lot of the time, it's also the whole thing of like, okay, so I'm traversing through an area, and it's kind of like this. It has like lateral design too. Like you're not just going straight forward. You're moving upwards, and you'll clear something, but if you move up, there's some enemies that like
Mm-hmm.
aren't completely out of the line of sight of the camera. So like it'll
Mm,
back up from you where you thought you're like, oh, okay, I cleared this place. I'm done. I'm done here.
yeah.
You know, it's like so when I die or whatever, and I'm back at the checkpoint that's above the place that I previously was at, I don't got to worry about that stuff anymore. But turns out sometimes you do, and it's like, and it's annoying because it's like you have to do the whole like blooper thing. You know how like bloopers you go over a blooper and then it can only kill you from under you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Of course. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how these enemies are. So it's like you have to like are the ones that I'm talking about specifically
Yeah.
in Shadow that annoy me. When they don't work the way that it seems like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
You have to like stop your progression because you either have to choose like, okay, do I just want to take the hit from this thing, which you probably don't in this game because it's not forgiving in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or do I want to wait it out? Or do I want to, like play
Mm.
freaking Frogger and try to cross the street before it gets me?
Yeah.
That can be frustrating. I still like the game; it's still cool.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I noticed since playing it more that I didn't notice in my first little hour or so.
Yeah. I definitely wonder with that kind of thing if the devs, as they're making these games, will obviously they play test it, but do they play test it in a way where a first cycle of all the things, so like as in what you're talking about, to where like the first time, as you're like, if you want to sprint through the whole thing, you technically could make it past
Right.
everything without like waiting and blah blah blah. I wonder if they make it so that a first cycle is barely possible, or like I think the ideal in my book would be that it's possible but hard, but just not
Mhm.
like you have to be a like pixel perfect speed runner to be able to do it kind of a thing. Because
It
otherwise,
feels
yeah, that's
that's
just
the
like,
thing. It feels easier when you do it that way. Like if you just
mm,
go straight through, it feels easier than when you come back to it.
oh, weird,
Because that's
interesting.
when that really became a problem for me because it's like I'm just walking forward and I feel like just on my third or fourth like playthrough of like opening the game sort of thing
Hmm.
of this game. I'm like getting hit and I'm like, where did this enemy even come from? And then I like slowed down and I'm like, oh, he's coming from the platform under me. Like he's from the bottom level that I already
Hmm.
cleared. So it's like that
Yeah.
was a frustrating part of it, but
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely, it sounds like there's a fine line, because I remember the conversation, like Max and Pete were talking on Twitter some, but the conversation of like, how far do you lean into your retro inspirings, like inspirations or whatever.
mhm.
Like, because it does sound like from what y'all have been saying that it could have used just a couple tweaks of modernization of like more checkpoints, or just different things along those lines, where like things
Yeah.
are just a little more forgiving, because it's just better that way, like
And I think the problem could be because there is a portion of the gaming community that also I'm going to
Hmm.
say conflates challenge with
Right.
like those arbitrary coin
Hmm.
uh
Hmm.
draining tactics of the arcade era where it's like I'm just going to make this impossible
Hmm.
and we're going to call that challenge where
Hmm.
it's like it's designed to cheat you, like it's like a It's like a corny, like in that way. Um,
Yeah.
but because that was like in a lot of games as people grew up and stuff like that, that's what they identify with challenges. Swords
Hmm.
also like the shiny hunting thing, where it's like it
Right.
takes me
Yeah.
long, so
Exactly.
it's difficult. It's like
Yeah.
no, if we break down what the meaning of the word is or like that, it's not really difficult, you know.
I do wonder, like, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection is coming out, or Ghouls and
Uh-huh.
Goblins or whatever,
That's what
Resurrection
I'm
is
talking
coming out.
about. That.
Yeah, so I wonder where that'll go. I mean, I assume that'll probably stick to the origins because that, to me, that feels like a classic of that kind of thing, of where it's just like it just does a bunch of stuff that's unfair and the checkpoints are terrible. So like
Hmm.
pretty much you have to just memorize, how to do pixel perfect things and not fall to the things that are unfair. So it's challenging, but it's just because it's annoying to like
Yeah,
have to
and
play through the whole thing
yeah,
again. Yeah,
like the challenge is wanting to persevere
yeah,
through the unfairness.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I say that to say maybe it's intentional. Maybe
Hmm.
part of or the designers on that team are like, yeah, that's challenge for us.
Hmm.
That's fair. Um, I'm not the one that's making the game.
Yeah.
But
Huh.
other than
Cool.
that, stream games.
Hmm.
I played Boy Zelda, got through the second, got through the second Divine Beast. Why?
Nice.
Like you never heard that before?
It's Boy Zelda. You gotta love it, man.
The name, dude.
It's true.
So I played Boy Zelda, got through the second Divine Beast, and I did it like pretty early. So I was like, okay, I gotta do something else, but I want to like not beat this game fast. Because I already explained it. I want to time it so I can beat Age of
Hmm.
Calamity, and it's like, all right, Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out next week. You know,
Yep.
like, um, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go to Ganon and we'll see what happens.
Interesting.
And I didn't know that if you do that, and I did that before. Like I just went straight to Ganon.
Hmm.
And I don't, for some reason, and there's a lot of things with this game because I played it 4 years ago now.
Right. Yeah.
That I was just straight up don't remember. And going straight to Ganon, you had to fight all the blight that you didn't beat before.
Yep.
So
100%.
it was like okay, well I gotta fight freaking what is the first one? To fight is
Um, which other
I had to
did you
fight
do? Rivali's? Yeah.
Thunderblight Ganon
And
and
Fireblight probably.
Fireblight.
Yeah.
Yeah, were the two I had to fight. And
Yeah.
Fireblight, he's whatever, dude. He was pushover. Nobody cares about him.
Man, I had a hard time with Fireblight. I think the first time because I didn't read the bit where ideally you're supposed to throw a bomb at him, where he like puts up a shield thing or whatever, and you chuck a
Yeah,
bomb, and then that's the
yeah.
key to that situation.
But that's the
I
thing.
didn't.
See, I cheesed it because I wasn't even thinking about that. I just was shooting bomb arrows anyway. I just had bomb arrows for days, dude. I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm trying to hit the eyeball thing because it's Zelda, man, and I know that hurts you. And go, oh my eye, why would you hit me there? So I'm just shooting bomb arrows at everybody, and just like, all right, well, he doesn't like bomb arrows. That's fine. So he just got yeeted. Then Thunderblade get in, and I was like, I was doing all right against him, but then it was like, it's specifically the part when you got to do the magnesis and you put the freaking metal thing and you like bring it over to him, and then he's like, oh, I hit myself, and I didn't have enough food the first time that I got closer, but I died, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go make food, and I went
Hmm.
and I did that, and I went and got food, and then I tried it again, and then I died again, and I don't remember how I died again. It was probably Thunderblade again in the second time also.
Hmm.
But after that, I was like, okay, I'm done with this game. We'll come back after we play through 3D World because that's going to be the game of my schedule. I'm like, all right,
Mm,
I'm needing this game for other things.
yeah.
Um, so putting Breath of the Wild or Boy Zelda on hiatus. Pokemon that's still going.
Hmm.
I freaking lost my
Man.
run, dude. I'm
Oh
so
wait.
sad.
Okay, so I dropped out at some point.
Were you
But
there when I was doing the gym?
no, I
Oh my
left right before that.
god, I was
I was
doing.
there while you were still grinding, I think. Maybe you were fighting the last trainer right before that town, something like that.
Mm.
So yeah. It's
Yeah,
done.
I fought B or whatever her name is. I was about to
Yep.
swear. And I didn't have any like I literally had no Pokemon to
Yeah,
battle
I
this
mean, your
chick with.
strongest
And
Pokemon is
it
half
was
rock type, so like,
yeah,
you're
exactly,
not doing
exactly.
so great
And
there
then it's
against the
like
fighting type.
it was like I had other where I was like, okay, I can just depend on Drifloon.
Hmm.
But she had all her Pokemon had brutal swings. I was like, that's cheap.
Oh,
That's not
yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
Like, the Pokemon games are supposed to be easy, dude. Like she got balancing. She's like,
Hmm.
oh no, I'm gonna balance out my minuses. So I lost her and I started the
Hmm.
run again, and now I have Score Bunny, which I feel like is going to be better for the run.
Yeah.
You sabotage me, giving me freaking goofy. Especially since all my birds were cursed to die. They just
True.
always died. Every single bird I had just
Yep.
died immediately. Some of it was my fault, but other times it was just because it's like you just weren't long for this world. But the
Hmm.
baby though, the freaking Toxel dude,
Hmm.
he's a survivor, man. And I completely forgot because at one point I was like, okay, I can't let the baby die, so I got to give the baby the focus sash.
Hmm.
And then once he evolved, I was like, oh, I don't really need to do that anymore because he's not useless.
Yeah.
But I never took it off. And now when I was in I was in a battle and I was like, oh shoot, the baby's going to die. Well, he's not a baby anymore. But I
Right.
was like, oh, freaking Toxtricity's going to die. And
Hmm.
then he got hit and then he had focus sash and then he won. I was like, oh shoot, I forgot I did that. Well, I'm not taking it off now. But yeah, that runs over. Now I started again. I got freaking Score Bunny named Mega Man,
Hmm.
and I got Rookity. I think his name's Todd.
Hmm.
So that's where we're at.
There's such a difference between Nuzlockes, like, because I did one on like a Nuzlocke of blue on an emulator back a while ago, and had it to where, like, I could do 10 times speed up or something like that. So then you just grind a bunch, and then it's like, let's kind of, what's the point at that point? Like,
Yeah.
one of my Pokemon died because I just wasn't paying attention, and I was just in an area where I could grind, and then just like ended up taking a little bit too much damage, and it died. And it's like, that's not how you want that to happen.
Yeah,
So like, this is
that's
a very
like
different kind of Nuzlocke to that.
it's literally and this was already something that I've argued in the past and talk
Yeah.
about to death with
Hmm.
Pokemon games where everybody's like it's too easy. It's like no, you make it too easy for
Yeah, right,
yourself.
exactly.
It's like they give you enough rope to hang yourself, and you're hanging yourself. Like you can't
Hmm.
blame them for that. If anything, it makes it like they're trying to give people room to make it not tedious and annoying.
Hmm.
And people use that room and make it on the whole other end of the spectrum where it has no friction.
Hmm.
But playing it like this is like, man, this game is hard if you don't grind. Like I pretty much didn't grind at all, and I was like completely under leveled. And it's like the
Hmm.
whole again, it's like, oh, when you catch Pokemon with for experience and all that other stuff, and blah blah blah, you get over leveled and all that sort of stuff. It's like, nah, only when you're like doing it in abundance and
Hmm.
it's almost purposeful. Like you have to force yourself to be in that position.
Hmm.
And like and I guess part of it is also people playing how they used to play in the original games where it
Right.
was a requirement to grind
Hmm.
because level scaling was stupid.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but anyways, Pokemon's fun. I like doing the Nuzlocke.
Yeah.
And then last game Smash, we did a tournament. I freaking first set, every set that I did, I feel like I did better than I thought I was going to do, because since we don't do online tournaments, our seeding sucks. So like
Mm.
round one, you're fighting some of the best online players in the world, and like I'm not used to playing like that. Like I'm used to
Mhm.
playing like as if I'm playing locally. But these
Mhm.
people are like, oh, I know it's online, so I'm just gonna like do stuff that I know is gonna work better online. Like,
Mhm.
so the first match that I did, it was against like the top ranked Kirby in the US or something like
Oh my
that.
goodness.
And I was like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna fight this guy. First match, I picked Min Min, I got destroyed. Like I probably hit this man twice. And
Yeah.
then the second match, I picked Pokemon Trainer and I took him to a stage where I knew it was going to be harder for him to cheese me. I two-stopped him.
Mhm.
So it was like when I'm able to play the game,
Mhm.
it's like I do
Mhm.
pretty well. But when it's like I get cheesed, it's like I don't know what to do there because I don't play this game with that
Yeah.
mindset.
Mhm.
Um, so that's going to be something that, well, I'm hoping, um, I'll be able to detach from my normal play style, because I genuinely think that if I try to play online like I'm like that,
Mm-hmm.
it'll just make me worse overall. It'll probably make me
Yeah.
better
Right.
in online tournaments, but worse for
Yeah.
playing the actual video game.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to try to balance that, and hopefully I don't like kill good habits trying to do well in that realm.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then the last thing, freaking
Yeah,
Mario
man.
3D World.
Ba-ba-da-ba, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. So yeah, how much of this? I know I saw you stream a little bit. I got back from D&D, helped paint a little bit, and then we played like I played a tiny little bit.
Mhm.
And I saw you were playing with Scootish, Mega Man, and Lee, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Tell me more.
So I was like, I was talking to Lee on stream, and I was like, "Yo, you want to freaking stream 3D World? That's coming out. We could do that." And
Uh
he was
huh.
like, "Yeah, I want to do that, but we need 4 people." And I was like, "Okay, bet." Mega Man was in chat, so I was like, he was like, "I'll play." I was like, "Okay, cool. We got
Nice.
Mega Man." And I was like, "Who else do we get to play?" And I went to OCG, and they were like, "Yo, Scootish has it," and I was like, "Oh shoot, okay, cool." So I hit up Scoot, and I was like, "Yo, Scoot, you trying to play
That's
freaking
awesome.
3D World on stream?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm playing League. Let me finish a match." And I don't know anything about League. So I'm like, "All right, fine. That's probably, what is that going to take? 10 minutes or whatever?" He messaged me like 40 minutes later. And he's like, "All right, I'm ready."
Ooh, man
I'm like,
alive,
all right.
that's so long.
So so we play the game, and nothing in my head is like, okay, this is Scootish. Like, it didn't sink into my head who I was inviting to play this video game. So so we got over there, and Scootish was being Scootish.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like, "Man, I want to be the king. I'm rushing to the thing. I'm getting the crown, all this stuff. We're trying to like get all the stars and stuff." And
Mm-hmm.
he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, I'm doing what I need to do to be at the top of the pack." And I'm like, "This piece of trash, man." Like, this absolute piece of garbage. So that was an experience. And then like he typical Scootish. He got his branding that he was fighting for.
Uh-huh.
He was fighting to be the jerk of the pack, right? And then he finally got that, and everybody's like, nobody trusts Scootish. Scootish is just gonna he's just gonna screw everybody over to win. And then once he got that reputation, and we called him on, and he's like, "Oh, now you guys, well, it's like he's like course correcting. He's on a redemption tour." So
Mm-hmm.
like the next part of the stream, he's like, "See, guys, I'm helpful," but Scootish had a brief moment where he relapsed, and he got mad at Mega Man because because we're on the well, I don't know how well you know this game, because it's your
Not
first
very
time
yet.
playing it. So there's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this level where there's like the platforms where there's the
Is
two
this what's on
green
what you
sides
posted
with
on Twitter?
yes.
Yeah, yeah, I saw
Yes.
that.
So it's like the two green arrows or whatever, and whatever like the most amount of players is on. It's like a scale.
It's like a
Like
seesaw, or like, and you're
exactly.
trying to lean it one
Whichever
way or
is the
another. Yeah.
heavier side is the way that you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we started, and this freaking car wash fluff thing was about to kill us, and I'm like, "Guys, we gotta go over here, go over here, go over here, so we can move past this thing." So they went past the thing, and then so we're moving to the thing, and then it's like a red and blue switching
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
block,
Yeah.
exclamation point, etc. So on. And you have to jump in there, it changes the track so that you can make progress. So we did that, and I don't know if the clip specifically was when we or maybe this was the reason why we decided this. Eventually we came to the conclusion that it was like, all right, we need one person to do
Yeah.
this,
Oh, 100%.
because everybody, like as we see in this clip, it didn't work out great. So I was like, Mega Man, you're Mario, you do it. But that we're getting ahead of the story. So we're going through the thing, and everybody's jumping to do the thing except for me. I'm just standing there because I know that this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we get through the first one fine, and everything's great. So then we do it again, and somebody jumps and clears it. I think it might have been Scootish. And then Mega Man jumped again, and he like went on the thing, and and I messed this up. And then apparently Scoot had enough, and he just freaking yeeted Mega Man. Like, and it was and it happened. Like, I'm pretty sure most of us, if not all of us,
Uh-huh.
I can't think of a specific time where Lee did it, but I'm pretty sure that all of us at one point or another have killed another person, and it was like not on purpose. It was like us,
Yeah.
like holding the run button and getting too close, and then you pick them up, and it's like, oops, you know. But Scoot walked. It was very deliberate. This
Very
man
deliberate.
walked, looked in Mega Man's eyes, picked him up, turned around slowly, and threw. And it was like, look at that. I didn't even see, because I'm streaming, so I'm like, I didn't see his cam until after I saw his clip. And
Mhm.
he's like, in disbelief, he's like, he's not gonna throw me, dude. He's not. It's fine. Everything's good. And then, and then when he gets thrown, Mega Man's just like, wow. Like Lee's blown away. This man pressed pause. I'm like, it was very hectic. But yeah, it was fun. I had fun.
That feels
I
like the
would've-
perfect energy for that, though, because like, you know, it's nice to have some chaotic tension every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's two options to play that game. It's
Yeah,
either you
right.
play the video game and
Mhm.
you do the things,
Yep.
or you have a Scoot and it's like you're just not allowed. You're just not allowed to play the game, so you might as well embrace the chaos. And that's what we did.
There you go.
And I wanted to specifically do it because I wanted to test the online.
Yeah.
And
What'd you think of that?
It turned out to be a stress test because it's 4 players, so
Mhm.
that is
Max.
inherently a stress
Mhm.
test. But also, we play with Mega Man, who lives in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So, so it's like, okay, we're going to see how this goes.
Mhm.
It started out and it was like, oof, this is like not like the worst thing I've seen. It's not Mario Maker bad,
Right,
but it
yeah,
might be
oof.
like Smash Bros. Like when it's bad.
Mhm.
But then I want to say within that first level, like within the first couple minutes, if that,
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, this actually feels good. Like not even like it feels like there's maybe like a little bit of input delay. Like
Mhm.
it feels like maybe I know some people like they when they're streaming they play off their computer screen. It
Mhm.
feels like
Mm.
that. It feels like you're streaming and you're playing off of a capture,
Interesting. Yeah.
which is like not terrible. You know, it's Mario, especially 3D Mario, is not that precise where you need that much or
Mhm.
that little latency. So it felt fine. But I am interested to see what happens if I play with people that are all in the same place.
Yeah.
And I'm playing again tonight, but that's
Yep.
not going to be the case either
Oh.
because Steve is
Yeah,
in
that's
the
true. He
UK.
is
So,
indeed. Yeah. Do you
so
think that like their experience was because you were, I guess, the host of the room or whatever, right?
mhm.
Do you
Yeah.
think their experience was about the same as yours then?
Yeah, everybody, pretty much everybody was on the same page. Where it's like at
Gotcha.
first we were
Yeah.
like, "Oof, this is it's kind of rough,"
Yeah.
and then it was like, "Oh no, this is better." Scoot, I think, took a while to like be like, "Yeah, this does feel pretty good,"
Mhm.
but at the end of it, we're like, "This is surprising. I am surprised by this."
Nice.
And I think the thing that's like unfortunate, which is relevant to my video, which we'll
Mhm.
get is that this is so much a part of like their Nintendo specifically is reputation because I don't know any 4-player platformer that
Mhm.
feels good. You know, like
Mhm.
feels good in the sense that it feels like you're playing it locally. Because like I have
Mhm.
Rayman Legends and stuff like that on multiple platforms because they give it away on the
Right.
PlayStation Plus and Xbox, you know, all that stuff. And that feels like that too. And that's a faster game. You know, it's like
Mhm.
I feel like that a lot of times requires more precision than Mario
Mhm.
does the bulk
Yeah.
of the time. So it's like a 4-player experience that's online and it's a platformer and stuff like that. I feel like that's expected that it doesn't feel like 1-to-1.
Mhm.
But it's like people come and admittedly I did too come into it with this expectation, and mostly on my end it's not because I feel like Nintendo specifically is terrible at
Mhm.
doing this, but specifically they left a bad taste in my mouth, the
Yeah.
Mario team with
Yeah.
Mario Maker 2. So it's like
100%.
Mario Maker 2 is garbage. That is unplayable, literally unplayable in my
Yeah.
mind. So I expected something closer to that, but it plays pretty
I
well.
wonder if part of it is also like I wonder if it works the same or if it's because there's one person who's the host for the most part,
Yeah.
where like instead of having it, you know, like checking on everybody's side at the
Yeah,
same time, like, hey,
I
how are you
wonder
doing? How you
how it
doing?
would be if like Mega Man was the host. We should have tried that.
Yeah, right. Or I mean, conversely, in Mario Maker 2, if you did um, like this, well, no, it'd probably be the same. I was going to say if you did co-op with other people as opposed to doing versus, if, but still, that if no one's the host for that. That's not how that works. So it would be the same. But yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder. Well, that's good in any case that's, I mean, and also all of you guys have reliable internet. And so that's a thing,
Right.
whereas
But
with,
that's what I feel, especially since like the only time that like the unreliable internet, at least for me personally, I know that
hmm
there's people in like middle America and stuff like that that they just have like that's just their life. They got 5 megabytes up and down,
hmm
maybe not even that up,
yeah, right.
But for me personally, most people that I play with have reliable internet. And
hmm
in a game like this, that's all that matters is the
yeah.
people that I know.
Yeah,
Like
right.
Smash Brothers,
Exactly.
it's different. Smash Brothers, I need everybody to be able to play this game and it be smooth because I'm playing with mostly random people that I'll never
hmm
meet.
yeah.
But a game like this, it's like very specific, like appointment playing sort of situation.
hmm
So that's all I care about is that as long as everybody involved has a decent internet connection, it's good.
yeah.
That's all that matters for me.
Yeah. Have you played Bowser's Fury at all yet?
Yes, I did today
Okay.
specifically
Interesting.
for
Nice.
this.
Yeah.
I also played Bowser's Fury. So do you know how like how it's set up where it's like randomly Bowser's like I'm angry.
So okay, that the thing I didn't know is that's not triggered by anything. It's just like
No,
completely random when it
just
happens.
Bowser's like, you know what? I had enough of y'all. Y'all are having too much fun. You're making noise out here. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to sleep. I got to work in the morning, and y'all are
hmm
making noise. And that even sounds too logical. He's just like, I just want to destroy everything. I'm
hmm
upset. So that is it's very interesting. It feels like a Mario. It feels like Mario Odyssey. It feels like Mario Odyssey DLC,
Yeah.
and it's like it's Mario 3D World. Like it's
hmm
closer to that mechanically, but it feels like a Mario Odyssey world.
hmm
And I talked to Bob about this briefly when he was streaming it because he talked about for a long time that he would hate if there was like an open world Mario game.
hmm
And I was like, how do you feel about this? Because
Hmm.
this is kind of that.
Yeah.
But this isn't really that. It's kind of like
Hmm.
just a bigger Mario Odyssey world. Like
hmm
that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that works well. I wonder if they because I know a lot of the video, and I'll probably like touch on this a little because I want to make a video about this game.
hmm
I'll probably touch on that a little bit, but I think everybody's like making the videos of like, is this the future of Mario? Is this what
hmm
open world Mario looks like? Um, which I think is an interesting concept, but it's not really all that different from what we've had before in that way.
hmm
I think the only real thing that's different about it is the Bowser part. That's the only thing that feels like this is new.
Yeah.
Like we
Right.
haven't been here before. Other than that, it kind of feels like Mario Odyssey if Mario Odyssey had the wild area,
Yeah. I
because
could
it's
see
like
that.
Mario Odyssey is one big sandbox and there's no like there's like caves in certain worlds and stuff, so like in
hmm
a way those are like distinct areas within a bigger area, but in this it's like a big area that has wild area like segments of still
Right.
seamless world, but it's named something different,
Yeah.
so thematically it's different, and there's like the gimmick or like the mechanic that's like this is what this part of the world is themed after, you know
hmm
that whole situation. So it's like it's Mario levels, but Mario levels that kind of do the whole loop, like the
hmm
what is it called? The whole principle where it's like they introduce a mechanic safely and then they ramp it up a little bit and then they ramp it up more and
hmm
more and more until they just throw the principle out and then they introduce a new thing. It's
hmm
that whole life cycle in these little segments.
I mean, it kind of reminds me a bit of the Sand Kingdom specifically. That has probably the most like little sub areas or
Hmm.
whatever. But obviously, this is each of those are their own thing. It's like several
Right.
levels within one big area. But yeah, I mean, that's something that again, yeah, I guess they've already explored to some degree, but this is just like the instead of each of the sub areas having like one moon or maybe two moons, or in the Mario Odyssey context, that in this way they have their own full things, like multiples of them in the same area. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
I was gonna say it's like the thing that's kind of different is that it's like emergent. It's like
hmm
when you beat
hmm
Bowser, more things come out and stuff like
yeah,
that. But that's not even all that different because the moon block
yeah.
things
Right.
also are a version
Uh-huh.
of that.
Yeah.
So I like it. It's good, but I think it's not as new as people are like giving it credit for, which
Hmm.
again, I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's
Right.
interesting that it could be a glimpse at Mario Odyssey in a way because it does
Hmm.
handle that concept differently, but it's not a new concept. I
Right.
think is the way
Just
that
kind of
I would
reshuffling
describe
some of
it.
the ideas from that, because like again with the moon blocks or whatever, like you said, in Mario Odyssey, those are really segmented as far as like after you finish all these things, you can come all the way back to them and do it. Whereas this sounds like, it's part of the same. Um, it's shuffled into the experience a little bit sooner, obviously
Hmm.
than it being kind of post game stuff. But yeah, that's interesting. It is funny. I wonder how different people's perception of this would have been if this came out as DLC for the original one instead of like before Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, like if
Like
Mario
I feel like,
Odyssey, if like instead of Mario Odyssey, they did a 3D, they did this
yeah.
alongside when like Mario Kart came out and all that stuff,
Hmm.
and then Mario Odyssey was like the game that came out now.
Right. I feel like, I mean, people, this would be like, I'm,
This
yeah,
would be way
because
like this would be a huge deal, I think,
exactly. Yeah, because it's
if
like
this came out
finally going
now.
back to like sandbox Mario stuff and all that.
Right.
Whereas now, yeah, if it's kind of reworking some ideas that are already from Mario Odyssey, which I loved Mario Odyssey, so I'm down with that. It's a departure from what 3D World is, but maybe not fully from what 3D Mario is as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that there's stuff that can be said here because I
Hmm.
wouldn't make a video about it
Right.
if I didn't.
Yeah.
But I think that people are given that whole thing of like, is this the future of 3D? It's less
Yeah.
about that and more about kind of like when I usually make those like Mario Party, it's
Yeah.
new Mario, I mean Super Mario Party video that I did where it's like, I mean, this is where we could go after
Hmm.
like things that are it's kind of hinting at, there's stuff in this that like if they went full bore with it, it's like this could be a new thing.
Hmm.
And like some of the things in and of themselves are like new, like the super bell or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Like
Right.
that is a new concept where it's like, okay, I have this like power up that goes on a cooldown and I have
Hmm.
to like work to recover that power up so that I can go fight the boss, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And like the whole thing of like, okay, I have this limited amount of time where the boss is awake, and he can open areas for me
Hmm.
that I can't open on my own. So do I want to prioritize getting the super bell and yeeting him, or do I want to just use this time to like break down all the Bowser blocks and then go in this area to get the bell so that it makes it
Hmm.
easier for me to get more super bells,
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. Because I mean, yeah, I bought the game, played 5 levels of it, I think, of the regular mode, but haven't gotten a chance because I've been working, so I haven't gotten a chance to actually like dive into it yet. But will tonight or this weekend a good bit. Cool. It'll be fun. Yeah, it's. I mean, this is one of the big Nintendo games coming out early this year. We've got a couple more that we know about, but not a ton more that we know about. So I still I still wonder about when we're going to find out more things throughout the year. I've speculated in the past that maybe we could have a direct as early as this next week,
We might.
but
I,
also very
I
much possibly not.
I
I don't
think
know.
around like sometime after Bravely Default comes out, maybe the freaking week before, even
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's when, because they had more stuff, and
Yeah.
that's even last year. That's when we would usually see another announcement within the time
Hmm.
of like, okay, we got the last thing that we announced. Here's the next
Yeah.
thing,
Right. Exactly.
Um, but I'm not even really in that place, honestly, where
No.
it's like I got 3D World, I'm playing 3D World,
Yeah.
like
I've got such a backlog. Like I think I've got more of a backlog. I mean, I do. I have more of a backlog now than I've ever had because like I haven't finished any of the like holiday-ish games that I was playing already. Like Hyrule Warriors still isn't done and some other ones. So I've got a bunch to do. But it's fun. It's a lot of that's because there's actually a lot of good like little indie games that have come out already this year that I've been playing.
mhm.
So if you don't know what those are, everybody go back and listen to the other podcast episodes where I talk about them. But yeah. But as far as the year starting out, it's been going real well for Nintendo. Switch had the most hardware sold in January since the Wii in 2010, which
I didn't
is
even see this.
a lot of switches. So this is, well, specifically for the NPDs in
Yeah, I know. But
and
I'm
all that.
saying I just didn't know anything
Hmm.
about. I didn't know what we were going to talk about other than 3D World. I was like, well, obviously we're going to talk about 3D World.
Yeah.
Mostly because I was playing Bowser's Fury.
Hmm.
I got for people that are wondering, I'm on the third. So you do the whole thing where it's like, okay, you get 5 shines. I was about to say
Hmm.
slime. You get 5 cat shines, and then you get the super bell, and then you eat Bowser, and then that unlocks more of the world.
Hmm.
And then you got to get 10 more, I think. Or I think that's what I did. I got 15, and then I
Hmm.
yeeted them again, and then I think now I have to get 20. So
Hmm.
that's where I'm at right now. I think I have 20, and I just haven't deeded him again yet.
Yeah.
So I'm making decent progress.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if I'm gonna I'm probably gonna I'll probably end up beating 3D World again before I beat Bowser's Fury even the first time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It depends on the process that the video, because I'm probably gonna try to beat Bowser's Fury this weekend so I can talk
Hmm.
about it in my video. But I
I mean,
don't
it
think
sounds like it's like three
for
hours
my
long or
idea,
whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. For my idea of my video, I don't really need to beat it to
yeah,
make it. But I would like to just to have the footage.
yeah, for sure. Yep.
But yeah,
No, I've been
so
playing.
Switch sales.
Switch sales. Yeah. I mean, nothing super new. Just that the Switch is still doing real well. We also saw at some point, like last week. I mean, we maybe would have talked about it last week, but that the I don't remember what exactly. I think it was so far in the year the Switch, as far as hardware or software, was like 97% of Japan's software sales were Switch
Hmm.
games and stuff. Like
Yeah,
it's or 97% of the top 30 or something like that. It's
yeah. Like
very
their
crazy.
charts, the charts
Yeah.
is like the stuff that they like log every
Hmm.
week. Is dominated by Nintendo, which I think like that's interesting. I wonder if that's going to change. And I think we talked about this in the past, where it's like I
Hmm.
wonder if that's going to change the landscape for Japanese games
Yeah.
just in general,
Hmm.
because like obviously there's stuff like Monster Hunter World, right? It's like most successful Monster Hunter game and blah blah blah. But like I think that a lot of Japanese studios still care more about being embraced
Hmm.
locally, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so I wonder if that's going to mean more Switch games
Hmm.
because Japan is buying Switch. And even like worldwide, there's about, 80
Hmm.
million Switch, probably more now,
Yeah.
80 million Switches out in the world. So I mean that's not too shabby. It's impressive.
Hmm.
They have a very strong lead right now, even on top of the fact it's like new consoles, so that just inherently means that they're going to be supply constrained.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that new consoles mid-pandemic, so that's
Right.
even more constraints. Some may say that they should have waited, but who are those people? But,
No, and it's like I feel like especially with Japan, it's yeah, I wonder if developers had thought like, oh, well, it's just selling better on the Switch because the PS4 is at the end of its lifespan. So like now once the next generation comes out, like that's going to do that much better in Japan. Like I'm sure the PS5 is going to sell well in Japan once it's not supply
I don't
constrained,
know if that's
but
true.
not
I don't
nearly
know if
as
that's
well.
true
Yeah.
because now, like currently, I don't even think the I don't think PlayStation 4 is going to pass 10 million in Japan,
Mhm.
which
Yeah,
is
I
like
mean,
I
which
mean,
is way less than the Switch is
y-
at.
yeah, like the Switch passed the PS4 I think in its like second or third year.
Yep.
And PlayStation 4 has been out for what, like 7 now.
Hmm.
It's like I don't know. I don't think I think Japan just as a whole culturally is just done with the whole dedicated console thing. It
Hmm.
seems like they're either on mobile, Switch, or PC at this point. Like there's
Yeah.
no real reason for them to have a console.
Hmm.
Um, and I wonder if that's going to either impact the games that are being developed for Japan if that means that there's going to be less games developed for them specifically, or
Right.
if that means that Sony maybe does a Vita 2, or they do some type of handheld variant of the PS5 that's going to be $3,000. Who knows?
Yeah, it is interesting seeing like because there's still some developers like I can't remember which one it was, but like Falcom and NIS America or something like that. I know for a I could be wrong about exactly which ones it is, but it's the people that do the East games, like
Yeah,
East 8 and stuff.
that's NIS America.
Okay, yeah. So I think it was that NIS was
But
like,
they
no, we need to
publish it.
put it.
They publish.
Okay,
And
so
then
that's what it was.
Falcom's the ones
Falcom
that
is
makes it.
the
Yeah, yeah.
so Falcom at the beginning was like, we don't want to put any games on Switch. We don't care at all. And NIS at some point was like, but you're going to though. So like, we're gonna do it. Which is just funny to see that, but like that there still seems to be some hesitancy um, from different developers or publishers or something like that. And I do wonder if what that is, if it's a power issue, which if so, that makes that is what
I
it
think
is.
it's just a catch-22.
Yeah.
Because pretty much always, with the exception of I want to say NES and to some extent SNES, third-party games just don't sell well on
Yeah.
Nintendo platforms,
Right.
especially relative to Nintendo games. Because you
Mm-hmm.
have a platform where Nintendo, and maybe part of that is also, which okay, so Nintendo will release a console like Switch, and if it's successful, they got 10, their whole top 10 is dominated by them, and the lowest selling game on there sold 10 million units.
Right. Yeah.
Right, like that's the bottom of the top 10, and there's still more outside of the, not right now on Switch, but like this is like the case on Wii and stuff like that, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like the top 20 is like sitting somewhere around 10 million, and like that's
Mm-hmm.
insane. But now on Switch, we got like 2 games that have more than 30 million, and like 5 that are sitting around 20.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not even one PlayStation 4 game that has 20. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, I think there's literally one, and
There's
it's
Grand Theft
Grand
Auto.
Theft Auto 5. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like, so seeing that, and then it's like, I don't know if they contextualize it that way, where it's like, oh man, it's like they sell a lot here, but
Mm-hmm.
usually the top 10 games sold on any given platform, whether it be Xbox, Sony, or
Mm-hmm.
inherently PC, are dominated by third parties. But
Yeah.
here, third parties aren't even in the vicinity. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we only sold 3 million copies. Like
Yeah.
they're the Star Fox of the video games on it's like anybody else, like just if an indie developer heard that they quote unquote only sold 3 million copies of their
Yeah.
game, they'd be like, yo, that's wild, dude. Like they'd be over the moon with that. But
Mm-hmm.
because what they're used to hitting, what their budgets are, because they're used to hitting that and blah blah blah, it's like those sales are underwhelming for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess the question is like, as a third party developer, what do you do to break into? Because like, I mean, so if I'm a third party developer, publisher, or whatever, my options are either bring the games over that I'm already making elsewhere, bring over Call of Duty, but then that's not specifically being targeted towards the Switch audience, other than it's a game that a lot of people
I
buy, I guess. And so, or on the flip side, make games that are specifically targeted towards like, this is what the Switch audience generally likes, but then if that doesn't I mean, like, I don't know,
I
probably.
think you make a combination of both.
Yeah.
I think you bring over the games that just like as a whole do really well. The Call of
Mm-hmm.
Duties, the Maddens, the
Right.
2Ks, the whatever
Mm-hmm.
FIFAs. All those games need to be on Switch because they show that they appeal. They appeal to the masses. I was going to say
Mm-hmm.
appease, which is also true.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you yeet whatever games have that wide of a net there, but you need to make sure that the balancing act of bringing them over the Switch is done in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, which is weird, a lot of times developers prioritize, even on Switch, trying to get the best looking visuals over
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the game plays the same.
Yeah.
Like that's way more important. And I know like there's going to be articles and stuff where it's like, if a game quote unquote looks like a PS2 game, which is pretty much never accurate unless you're Arc, you know.
Yeah.
That it's infinitely better if the game runs at 60 FPS, you know, and it doesn't drop a frame, you know, and it still plays like the other games. It just looks worse. I'm playing it on my freaking tablet, dude. Like, I don't care what it looks like, as long as I can play it. If I care what it looks like, I'm buying it on Xbox Series X, you know. So I think that's what they do there. And then they also, so people on Switch get games that look good, because Switch is also capable of games that look good. They're not like the most mind-blowing thing as far as like realistic graphics, but art direction, all that stuff. Breath of the Wild exists.
Right,
you know, stuff like that. Third parties need to make games like that too. To really be able to, you know, set up shop there and compete with Nintendo on their platform. But they won't.
Yeah, I would love to see a chart of the top selling third parties on Switch, just to see like, what that
the best, you know what the best selling third party game probably is? Guess.
Are you gonna say Mario plus Rabbids?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. There's something.
Ubisoft said that Immortals Phoenix Rising is doing pretty good, which I think is a good example of the former.
Yeah, right,
like,
exactly.
Make a game that's like appealing to the masses, and make the correct sacrifices that Switch owners, and it's not even like it's rocket science. Like, just look at the Switch and look at the games that sell well on Switch and see what do people care about for their Switch games.
Yeah.
Prioritize that, you know, like.
I think there's something to be said too for exclusives. Like, if they made Immortals Phoenix Rising a Switch exclusive first, it would have sold a lot more on Switch. And even if they bring it to other places later, you know, like, there's something to be said for games not being multi-plat when they're third party, because then it gives like some extra ownership, I think, to, you know, people are like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, Astral Chain or something like that, you know, even though that was definitely more niche of a game than Immortals Phoenix Rising was, but you know, it sold well enough. I think largely because it was exclusive, and it was like, yeah, this is our thing. Like, we're gonna do this,
Right,
you know?
right. And like, when
I mean,
it's
also it's Nintendo published, but you know,
exactly. And it's like, if you look at the top sellers, it's like, obviously Nintendo's the guy that everybody's looking for, you know, right?
Yeah.
So when it's exclusive, you then have Nintendo even more on your side. They're going to rally behind that, because it's like, look, another big game is coming to our platform. They're doing our work for us, you know, so we're going to hype that up for them. More than we would if it was just a third-party game. The only, I think, exception to that is when it is those juggernauts, when it is the GTAs, when they're like, we are bringing it, then Nintendo will rally behind that. But more often than not, I think the guaranteed way to get them to rally behind you is to make a game that they would make, that they don't have to, you know, like that sort of thing, and make it exclusive to their platform. I was going to say something, but I don't know if I remember. Oh, that I think that a big thing for Immortals Phoenix Rising, it's kind of the opposite, is that it is third party, and that the cross play is so good. Because then you don't have to make that decision. You can literally, especially since it's a Ubisoft game or a third party game, period. Most third party games are like, all right, this game's been out a month and a half. It's $30 now.
Oh my goodness.
You know?
Yeah, they put that thing on sale all the time.
Yes. So it's like, me I got that game specifically free, but as somebody that wants to play games, and I have multiple consoles, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'll play a game that looks good. That's fine. You know, I don't particularly care about that. But I'll do that. I'll look for, okay, the game's $30 on both platforms. I'll buy both. So I can, when I feel like looking at pretty red, green, and blue dots on the screen, I'm playing on my Xbox. When I want to play it and just, you know, lay down or whatever while I'm playing the game on the screen, I'm playing it on the Switch, you know. I think that that's another thing that more developers need to take advantage of, where it's like kind of like the days of portable consoles, you know, like the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance days specifically, is where I think that this is a lot more prominent. Have a handheld version of your game. And now it's like, it doesn't even need to be the same, where it's like these are entirely different games, because it could be the same game just pared down, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like I wish that was a thing back when the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like the Game Boy version apparently was better, like
Mm-hmm.
apparently the Tony Hawk Pro Skater Game Boy game is really good.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, I don't remember which one it is,
Mm.
but I never played it. But Bob was like, "Yeah, it's really good," and it was like it has like a 97 on Metacritic or something
My
ridiculous
goodness,
like
that's
that.
crazy. I mean, yeah, because at that point, there, when you can't focus that much on visuals because it's a handheld version, you have to focus on what it feels like, and that's important, and that's good.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, that would be good. So I mean, hopefully we'll get more of that stuff. But in any case, we're regardless, Switch sold super well in January, so that's good. And it'll continue to sell well through the Pokemon 25th anniversary, as Post Malone for some reason is doing something with Pokemon.
I mean, that I it tracks now with the rest of the year. First they got Katy Perry,
Yeah,
now they got Post Malone.
I
I'd be
don't know
surprised
enough
if they
Post
didn't get
Malone
like
stuff to know, like, for some
I don't
reason
know enough Post Malone stuff either. I know what all his stuff just like, and not even like in the like back in my day sort of way, but all his stuff just sounds the same to me. So it all bleeds together. It's all one very long
I always think
song.
it's fun. I'm sure I've said this on here before, but I always think it's funny when I say that about bands, because I'm I feel that way about like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, for example. I feel like most of their songs sound kind of the same. Um, and I listen to metal, and like to a lot of people who aren't me, they'd listen to an entire album of Silent Planets, for example, and be like, "Well, that's the same song," and I'm like, "No, no, no, it's very different." But like, no, I get that. But yeah, Red Hot
Yeah,
Chili Peppers sounds
and
the
see,
same.
but that's the thing. It's not even like Post Malone is in a genre that I don't listen to.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Like, he just
I do
always
feel
has
that.
like
Yeah, there's plenty of
a
metal bands I feel
very
that way about
similar
too.
cadence. Like his
Hmm.
songs just kind of bleed together, which I mean works for him.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
so there's that.
yeah.
That's neat.
What's
Um,
okay? The thing I'm curious about is, what do you think the platform is going to be for this? Because I can't see that it has said anywhere. It just says
who
it's
do
a
you mean?
virtual concert.
I
Um,
mean, I'd assume it'd be like on their Twitch or YouTube
okay.
or both or Twitter.
So that,
All of the
what
above.
does it look like for it to be involved with like, is he going to be singing his songs, but it's just Pokemon themed
I think
stuff,
it's
or is it going to be songs written for Pokemon? You know what I'm saying?
I think it'll be a mix. I think it'll probably be like he'll probably like cover the freaking like Pokemon, the original theme.
Uh-huh.
He's going to do
The
like a
Poke Rap.
Pokemon soundtrack song for like it's going to be like exclusive premiere Detective Pikachu
Mm-hmm.
2 soundtrack song. And then it's gonna be like just songs that like thematically, because people freaking uh they license songs for
Yeah, yeah,
trailers and
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, we're gonna look through his songs and be like, what will we license? And I
Mm-hmm.
get like they literally are licensing them. So yeah, those songs also. I couldn't give you a set list. I don't know what those songs would be for him,
Yep.
but I could imagine it would be a mixture of a lot of different stuff.
Yep. Man, I don't Pokemon's 25th anniversary is going to be very different, I feel like, from like Mario's and Zelda's and stuff, because they're going just in lots of directions. So that'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see. I do bet, now that you mentioned Detective Pikachu, I bet we get a trailer for Detective Pikachu 2 this year.
yeah, probably. I
That'd
mean,
be
I wouldn't be
cool.
surprised if we got some sort of teaser or something like
Mm-hmm.
that on Pokemon Day.
Yep. Which is what, June 6th or June somethingth?
No,
I don't know.
it's February something. It's like
Oh, is it? I don't know. Nothing.
it's like I think it's the day that I think that is literally when the concert is.
Pokemon, February 27th. Yep.
Yep.
There it is.
Yep. There it is.
Wow. So yeah, on February 27th, you could be doing Pokemon Day stuff, or you could call Nintendo's free concierge service that they've come up with.
They're trying to take our jobs.
This is so interesting to me. Long story short, for anybody who doesn't know this story, they're starting a program. It's a pilot program, so like maybe they're gonna shut it down in 6 months because they don't like it or something. But you can sign up for 30-minute slots or session slots, whatever, with them, to talk about, I don't know what they mean by customization, but customization. So maybe change your theme from black to white. Games, like getting started, games, what to play next, your Nintendo account, Nintendo Switch 101, and security and privacy. I feel like, I mean, a lot of this kind of stuff probably would just go through, support kinds of would be like, I don't know, you would just go to support instead. But it might be that like if I called into support,
It's a Genius Bar. They're
yeah,
doing
yeah, exactly. And
they're
so I
doing
mean, like,
Apple Genius stuff.
definitely the thing that's going to be the most used from it or the most helpful is probably going to be what games to play next if people don't want to watch our videos, but
How
instead
dare you?
want to go and check that out. Or the other
But I don't
thing
even.
I
I
could
mean, see,
imagine.
but I was going to say I
Uh-huh.
wonder even what the like value is in
Yeah.
that, but they did it before we did.
Yeah.
They
Right.
had the Nintendo Power Line where they were basically doing a version of like what we're doing. Where it's like this is like beat this game or like
I
this game's
also
great or
wonder
whatever.
how nuanced it's gonna be, where it's like because I get recommendations they'll send a monthly newsletter or something, and at the bottom it'll be like maybe check out these games.
Yeah, like is it going to
Um,
be like a consultation? Like, do they like? Are you like? Do you book a slot? And
I
they're
mean,
like, all
so
right,
that
they're
is what
like,
it
all right,
is.
send us. So like they're like send us an outline of your history.
Uh
Like give
huh.
us like okay, so like peek behind the curtain for stuff that I also do for
Uh
like
huh.
different companies. Where it's like, all right, what is your goal for your YouTube channel? Like what channels do you watch that you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, that works. I want to do that. I want my
Mhm.
brand to appear like that brand. So it's like they send me a whole bunch of links and stuff of like I like this
Mhm.
channel and I like this video and I like these logos and this is really good. I like this type of show. These are how our personality, like that sort of thing.
Yep. That's how it is.
Are they going to do that?
I mean, probably they just, will find your account and then they can see it'll have, all your games. And then I bet it auto populates some recommendations and stuff. And probably the recommendations will be fairly surface level ish, but maybe not, but like, I guess it's, um, I don't know, yeah, maybe it's just as good as ones we'd give or something. I'm not sure. But I
Nah,
do feel
man,
like it would be stuff
it's
like,
going to be trash.
you played Overcooked? You should play Dead Cells because those are both popular indie games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I have a feeling that's what it could end up being. But I mean, I guess we'll find out soon enough when people start doing it. But the other thing that could be helpful with this is I bet people have called into support, especially in 2020, and had problems where it's like, so I bought a Switch and I put my Animal Crossing Island on it. And then my daughter bought a Switch and her Animal Crossing Island was on mine. But then now I want to, like, because I had
Mhm.
somebody reach out to me asking that question last year, a little bit after Animal Crossing, when they got a Switch Lite for their daughter and had to figure out how to, like, who's one to buy it on and blah 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 blah. And I tried to
Mhm.
help with that. But that's the kind of thing that's like, I don't think support would very much want to spend lots of time working through that. So instead, they'll be like,
I
set
don't
up
know,
one of
man. It depends
these.
on the support. Literally, every time I call Nintendo support, they're like, "So who's your Smash Brothers main?" Like, and I don't know. I don't know if that has
Yeah.
anything to do with like me.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
maybe they know who I am or whatever. Um, but I'd
If they
assume
know
that
who
they're
you
like,
are, they'd know who your Smash Bros. Main is. Just saying.
it's
You know
true.
what I'm
It's
saying?
true. It's true. Um,
But
so it's
no, yeah.
like if they're already personable like that, maybe that was just something that they're like, we can do this. This could be something
Yeah.
that because we already kind of do it. We should just like do it.
Yep. I mean, it's yeah, and I wonder too if they're piloting it for free, but then eventually it'll be a paid thing if it's received well enough or something. I don't know, because like that seems like a lot of in time investment and money investment from them, or just
Yeah.
resources to give
See,
away
but
for
that's the
free.
that's the thing that's like surprising to me because like it was like I didn't even think like does this cost money? I just assumed it
Hmm.
was free because it
Yeah,
seems
right.
like something Nintendo would do for free.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. That's
Um,
awesome.
but it is like it's walled off in a way where it's like not
Hmm.
we couldn't call them because we got our Switch a year ago.
Oh yeah, is it
Is
only? I
it's
didn't
for people
notice
that
that.
recently bought their Switch. I don't know what the cutoff is,
Hmm.
but I do remember seeing that specific part
Mm-hmm.
of it, and apparently it's only in
Interesting.
North America.
Yep. And it's only running until February 22nd for right now. So hence the pilot program thing. Okay, interesting.
Mhm,
So yeah, we'll
mhm.
find out more about it in a later time. We'll also find out whether or not Psycho Dream, Doomsday Warrior, Prehistoric Man, and Fire and Ice are any good when they come to Nintendo
That's
Switch Online on Wednesday next week or Tuesday or something like that.
Who
Yeah.
cares,
So here
honestly?
was this.
This
Apparently,
this like dropped when Wolf Den Live started. And I saw it on my timeline. And I always do that. Like whenever new news comes out and Wolf Den
Mhm.
Live or Wolf Den podcast, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I'll never stop doing that. I don't know. But then again, me and Bob used to talk about that a lot, where it's like it was Nintendo NX for us for so long. It's like it's
Mhm.
just Nintendo NX forever. That's what we're calling it. And then eventually it just was Switch. It's like, okay, it's
Mhm.
Switch. So maybe I'll start calling it Wolf Den Podcast reflexively, but I doubt it. It's probably just going to be Wolf Den Live always. But anyway, every time there's Wolf Den Podcast and
Mhm.
I see news and they're doing it, I'm like, I'm going to send this to Bob because like they're going to be putting it in chat and they're probably not going to be paying attention to the chat. And I know that he'll probably look at his DMs before he looks at chat for Wolf
Yeah.
Den Live specifically until they get to the end of the show. So here this is, so you can include it in the news story. And I was like, I pretty much was like, these don't matter, but here they are. You know, like
Yeah. Which maybe is the thing that matters. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So apparently, Max said he enjoyed Fire and Ice back in the day. Max from Loopot slash
Mhm,
Questionable Takes.
mhm, mhm.
So that's fun. But yeah, I mean, I've never heard of any
What's
of
up with
these.
the orange that they picked for fire? It looks very gross. It looks
Yeah,
almost brown.
it truly does. Yeah, it's not good.
And how come the N gets to be blue? I feel like ice has too much representation
Hmm.
in this splash screen.
No
And the
disagreement
background's
here.
blue?
Yep,
Not
they don't
cool.
know what they're doing. Yeah, man, I don't know. So like, it's
They spelled prehistoric wrong.
they spelled it like he was Krusty the Clown.
People are stupid.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't even have much to say about this. These games are just like, I mean, I'm sure
I just
somebody
said
likes
all that
them.
needs to be said.
Yeah, it's so hopefully we'll get more
Japan apparently
better
got
games. Shin Megami Tensei 2.
yeah,
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's we didn't, you know what I'm saying? But
I mean,
I've been
kind of.
playing
They
Breath of
just,
Fire, so that's
get
on
you a
there. So everybody go
Japanese
play Breath of Fire.
account, download the Japanese one.
Yeah, because I speak Japanese and I can play that.
Hey,
No, you're right. You could
I
do
don't know
that
to
if you
tell you,
want.
man.
Truly. I mean, just press buttons, you know? Like
I mean, that's
kids play
literally what it
Pokemon before
is.
they know how to read, so like just press a bunch of
I
buttons, see what
did.
happens.
That's
Yeah,
exactly what
exactly.
I did. I
I
was
totally know how to read.
I was like 5 or something. So like I knew some words, but when you're 5, you don't know how to read Pokemon level reading.
This is true. No, man, I'm not a big fan of reading, but that's besides the point. So yeah, not a whole lot more to say that, but SNES
Why I
and NES
stopped
games.
switching videos, dude. It's not true. I wrote that. Now, see the thing now, it's like a
Mhm.
happy medium because like
Mm,
filming my videos before it was or making my videos
mhm.
scripting takes so long because I just want to say the thing right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
not even
right.
because like I don't know what to say. It's like, nah, I don't want to say it like that. I want to say it like this. And it's
Mhm.
like taking forever to be like rephrase 3 sentences.
Mhm.
So like that's the sort of thing that happens for me. But now, first with the 2 Pokemon video, or no, it was like the 2 Pokemon videos, and then I think I did one other video where it's like I was just talking at the camera. I was
Mhm.
like, this time I'm gonna write 1,000 words, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna fill in the blanks. And that's been my last few videos, and
Nice.
nobody said anything, so I'm guessing it's fine.
Yep. I
And
mean, still feels good to me. So.
that's just what I'm gonna do now, because like I'm just gonna write until I don't naturally know what to write anymore. And then
Mhm.
everything else, I'll edit what I record when I like all the stuff that I write, and then I'll fill in all the other stuff when I'm filming.
Mm.
Where
I
it's like, oh, and
never
I can
have.
say this here.
Yeah, I never have that problem. My problem is always like, oh man, I've got like 4 more thoughts, but I only have like 100 more words left that I should write before it gets too long. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm just long-winded. But
Yeah,
it's whatever.
I'm very not.
That was yeah. Me and my roommate in college, we had the opposite problems there, where like we were supposed to write paper on. I mean, there's tons of things that I don't want to write lots of words on if I don't know anything about it, obviously, But like if it's something that I feel like I know a decent amount about, then like I can be flowery and write a lot of words about something theoretically.
I think
And
like
he'd
because
like write 3 sentences, be like, that's all the
yes,
information you need, and I'm like, but
yes.
says to write a page.
Because it's true. It's true. I used
Yeah.
to, my mom and me would go back and forth on this all the time. Where I'm like, why do I need to write 2 pages on something I could tell you in a paragraph? Like, why do I need to do that? She's like, you cite your sources and also that's how you feel. I'm like, I don't care about any of that. I can literally tell you the information that you asked me in a sentence, one of them. But like even for Pokemon videos, right, where like I could write a 5-hour-long video on Pokemon if I had to. Even for those videos, it's usually just a thing of like keeping the video concise and targeted, less than it is keeping it short. Because like the thing that's like that makes Pokemon videos for me longer is being like, oh, and also this and also this. That's not specific to what the video is about or could or should be about, you know, because it's usually a lot of times with my videos, it's like it starts with this very broad idea that can be 30,000 different things, and then I get to a point where like this script is 4,000 words. It doesn't need to be about all these things. So then I take 2,000 words out, and I'm like, this goes in a different video, and this is the video that I'm talking about right now. So that's with the 1,000. Now I'm just like, I'm gonna write until my brain stops, and I'll come up with it easier off the cuff than I will writing it down.
And the video we're talking about right now is your video from this week about Switch Online. Do you want to fill in the gaps for anybody who hasn't seen it?
I made a video about Switch Online because last week, I mean, it's a version of what I did, what I was talking about with Pokemon videos, where like this video is too long. I need to make this into 2 videos.
Yeah.
Part of the thing where it's like Nintendo wants to be more ambitious, I wanted to talk about Switch Online. And I was like, that's video too long. This could be a whole video. So that's what I did. Made a video about Switch Online because everybody's always talking about how bad it is. And like when I was talking about, and it's not, again, like I said in the video, it's not perfect. It's not great. You know, like there's better services than that. I think that people give it's very disproportionate credit with the Japanese video game companies. I think PSN gets way more credit than it deserves. And I think Nintendo Online gets less credit than it deserves. Xbox probably gets less credit than it deserves. Xbox Live is pretty solid, especially if we're talking on a service end with like Game Pass and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're by far and away the best at services, significantly better than everybody else. But yeah,
I mean the fact that like with Game Pass or whatever that. I mean, right now I've only paid $1 for 3 months for it, but you know, eventually I'll be paying $15 a month. But to be able to play a multitude of games as opposed to have
literally thousands of dollars worth of games.
Yeah, exactly.
You pay $15 a month for. It's like, okay, you know. But yeah, so like I was like making a video where it's like I basically wanted to like clarify like what the problem is, because people every time that there's anything in this realm, which I think is extremely ironic, the first thing people go to is like Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing. Me as random person on the internet typing on my Twitter account with 25 well, it doesn't even matter how many followers you have. You can have 25 million followers, and a lot of times that this is the same tweet. And there it's like the 127-year-old multi-billion-dollar corporation, I guarantee you, employs hundreds, if not thousands of people that know significantly more about this topic than you ever will. It's not the case of knowledge, it's priorities. It's what do we care about? So I wanted to like make that the clearest part of this video. That was my main focus of like, their issue isn't how much they know, how competent they are. It's just the fact that they don't care about what we want them to care about. And that doesn't make them dumb. What would make them dumb is if their priorities weren't making them money, but their priorities are making them money. So it's just like that whole thing. And it's like, but since it seems like online is becoming a priority for them because of this, and here's this thing and why this matters and why I think that this means that it's becoming a priority for them. Here's some ideas for them to even further expand on that and make it better.
Yeah,
Because
no, for sure.
that's generally the tone that I try to like straddle when making video about pretty much anything, because I'm just a dude on the internet, and they're the multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah,
um so they're going to know more about the thing than me. So
yeah.
for me to like make a video, it's like, obviously you would make way more money if you just did the thing that I want. You know,
Hmm.
it's like, no.
Yeah, and tweeted out to earlier thing. It was earlier this week when some people posted something about like comparing the four 2D Metroids, the Zero Mission, Samus Returns, Super, and Fusion, and like which one's better and stuff. And then I realized that only Super is available on the Switch. And then what I tweeted out earlier today, where I was just like, man, it's crazy just how many games Nintendo has and how so many of them are not able to be played or whatever. And obviously it's intentional on their side. Like that's not, like not intentional, but it does make me
Also, it's
wonder
not
what
unique
they're,
to them.
no, of course. Yeah.
It's just super like at the front of our minds
Hmm.
that it's the case with them, because people care about their games more.
Yeah.
But like, you can't just be like, I want to play this random PlayStation 1 game from 1998. You
Right.
know.
And also, I mean, it's something that's especially noticeable with them because they have so many more first party games, and it's like
Mhm.
that's so much more at the forefront of their mind. Whereas with like, again, PS1 games, then like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro would be some of the more, and Tony Hawk would be some of the most notable PlayStation 1 games, and they all got re-released elsewhere because they're owned by other people at this point. Whereas with Nintendo, they're the only ones that have the ability to be able to re-release a lot of these games.
Right.
So it does make me
And a lot
wonder.
and it's like, if we look at it apples to apples in that way, where it's
Hmm.
like, all right, how many games did they remaster that we care about from those platforms?
Hmm.
It's like 10.
Yeah,
All right, how
right.
many games has Nintendo remastered in the same amount of time? It's
Hmm.
like 10. It's like, because Nintendo has more of them, they're like, why
Exactly.
don't they
Yeah.
remaster everything? And it's kind of the same thing as like the virtual console thing. And I think people said it might be in one of the comments that I pulled, where it's like they just need to bring virtual console back. And I'm like, why would they do that? Like,
Mm.
it just clearly, because if it just printed money like everybody thinks it does,
Hmm.
they would do that.
Yeah.
But obviously, the majority of the games that they put on virtual, or that they have for virtual console, people were not buying.
Hmm.
So they're just
Yeah.
taking up the virtual store space.
Yep.
It's like, which we know for a fact, as people that get codes and stuff, is a limited inventory. It's not
Hmm.
limitless, because storage costs money.
Hmm.
Like, even a digital product costs money to
Yeah.
put in an inventory.
So I guess what I'm thinking too is like, if they haven't done anything with N64 and all that, anything that's not NES and SNES now, if I were Nintendo, I feel like it would make most sense to not start trickling them out again, but like
Leave them up,
basically,
leave them on the, like, and I think that's what Switch Online,
yeah, like
like
at
how they're
some
doing it.
point, like well, I was just going to say like the next step is wait until whenever they're ready to do it, but then do like everything all at once, pretty much. Not literally
Yeah,
everything
that's
all
what
at once,
I
but like
like. I
platform wise.
think
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, because the fact that it's called, I mean, unless the next thing is called Switch, which we already know for a fact that
Hmm.
that's not the case. We already
Yeah.
confirmed that. But if the next thing is called Switch, they just put Switch Online on there, and everything that's on Switch Online is just there.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yep.
Maybe they hear all the cries and they're like, we know that you guys don't buy these, but since everybody wants a virtual console, we're starting over again. Here's a virtual console. It's like,
We're taking back all those games you've been paying monthly for, like, well, not monthly,
yeah.
annually, but yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just so curious how they decide to do that, because it does seem like resources that they know that they have, but they probably have some decisions internally of what they're going to do with them, but I would love to be privy to what they are. Like, and they could go one of a couple different directions, and so that's the tricky thing, is what do they actually do. But what we're going to do is read these comments. Stephen Manser says, The quality of the online gaming experience has not been an issue. What I want is a proper party/messaging/voice chat system. I'm tired of having to use earbuds for my game sound, but then throw on headphones over my earbuds and use Discord. Not to mention having to teach whoever is not particularly savvy with video games how to set up and join my Discord server. They have to explain to them the backwards
Then
way
have
of
to explain.
then have to explain to them the backwards way of trying to get the audio for both at once. I can't believe this isn't talked about more.
The reason why I didn't talk about it is because I already talked about it in another video, and I didn't want to
Mhm.
dedicate time to reiterating something I already said.
Mhm.
When I could just say watch the other video. And it doesn't particularly say anything about the topic at hand in the
Mhm.
video that I was making, because it's not like, even for them, it's something new that they haven't
Mhm.
done before. It's just something that they didn't care enough about to do here,
Yeah.
or do in the way that they thought was right for them. Because obviously they did switch online for a reason, or they did like
Mhm.
how they handle voice chat and all that stuff for a reason. I think it was likely a heavy-handed uh, thing to protect children.
Mhm.
um, but like they could have did a better solution, and I'm sure they know that, but they just didn't want to dedicate the resources to do it.
It's odd just because like they obviously aren't. Yeah, I think it in general is just not a priority to them because they really like don't. I don't
They
know,
don't really
like
update the Switch Online app, or not, like what they do,
mhm.
like as far as
Right,
like
but not like
maintenance.
for
Right.
messaging and
But
those
they're
kinds of
not
things.
like,
Yeah.
here's new features,
Mhm.
like that sort of thing. The closest
Yep.
they come to that is like, all right, we got a new game. Here's a new applet for that
Yeah, and
game.
even in marketing, it's like it'll show somebody. They had an ad recently with some famous person playing Switch with their parents, and they got on Skype and talked to be
Yeah.
able to do it. And it's like, man, you guys really aren't confident about your service, and so which makes me wonder, like,
But
do
I
they
think
have
that's
something that they
also
want to do later, or do they really just not care that much? Which I think is
that
probably
feels
that.
like, again, like a catch-22 sort of situation,
Hmm.
because even before Switch Online, even now on Switch Online, not even just me, but pretty much everybody I know that I play games with, at least, don't even like, we'll be playing games on Xbox or PlayStation or
Hmm.
whatever, and the default is either to just talk on the phone or to talk on Discord.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, so if so many of the player base is just going to go to this other thing, why pay for our own solution if they may or may not use it?
Right.
Which, I mean, that could also be a part of it, part of
Hmm.
their reasoning. But I mean, yeah, sure.
Hmm.
I do think that that's like a good, that's a better reason than what I think a lot of people come forward with. They probably mean what Steven means here,
Hmm.
where it's like, it's just easier for me to be able to have the game audio and the chat
Hmm.
audio coming from the same source. But people are usually like, kind of like the Netflix argument, where it's like, I'm on my Switch. I want Netflix on my Switch because I'm on my Switch, right?
Hmm.
But here it's like a practical thing. It's like, I'm like, I want to play the game and also hear the people that I'm playing the game with.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Next one. This is a chain, I think, right? This is
Yes, yes. So
okay.
this is like the first comment. It doesn't really have all that much to do with the bulk of like the conversation at hand.
Hmm.
But that's what inspired the reply, and then I replied to this, and
Indeed.
then
How do you want me to read this? Just like I'll just stop at some points and you can jump in.
yeah, I'll probably
We'll do that.
just jump in at my part. Or
Cool.
you could, like, so if you have thoughts on any of these particular comments, you can give your thoughts and then go, and then
Uh huh.
once we get to my comment, we'll talk about the gist of it, because I don't think the whole thing is really relevant
Hmm.
as far as like reading it verbatim.
Gotcha. So FSX or PHXNTXM said, "I'll believe it when I see it. The fact that
Anthem,
Nintendo,
I guess, is
yeah, maybe, yeah, I can see that. The fact that Nintendo has been charging for Nintendo Switch Online this whole time, and it's as bad as it is already highway robbery. PSN used to be free, and despite its imperfections, crashes, and hacks, it was free. Even then, pre-PS4, PSN, 2006 to 2013, was still better than NSO. And Oreo said, exactly. I have to agree, or I have to disagree with AJ when he says that he doesn't believe that Nintendo's behind the times.
Okay.
And you
So
said some things.
yeah, basically my comment was reiterating the sentiment from the video where it's like it has nothing to do with like them being primitive or anything like that. It's priorities. It's like we know how to do this. We've been studying and and looking into all this tech before it even existed to the public, and we
Hmm.
just decided against it for whatever reason.
I
That's
mean, the
not the
other thing
problem.
with that too is like as far as knowledge base, you can just hire people with different knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so it definitely doesn't seem like for a lot of these kinds of things that there aren't people that work at Nintendo that have the knowledge. On the other hand, it could be in some things like this that like the people in charge don't care about knowing this stuff as much as other people below them even maybe know that they need to, or something like that. But then that still comes back to priorities, not actual
Right.
knowledge. That's just like the people in charge being like, yeah, but it's good enough, or something.
Yeah. And then beyond that, the whole thing about like them saying that the like PSN was better and it was free. Um like as far as like that whole part of the sentiment of the comment, even though that wasn't my direct point, I was like, also, that's kind of not true. like the fact that he kind of says it in the comment, the initial comment, where he's like, even with all the hacks and crashes and so on and so forth, it was better than Switch Online. So you mean to tell me that like specifically, I think that again, like both sides of this argument are anecdotal, but I would much rather lag in every Smash Brothers match I ever play for the rest of my life than to lose $250 of unauthorized purchases. you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and also like it's tricky to compare things because like you mentioned in the video, it is really dependent on the specific game that you're playing.
yeah,
And the thing is, the games that people are mostly using as a reference point are some specific Nintendo published games that
hmm
aren't that don't have as good netcode or whatever. And like that doesn't have to do with the service, that doesn't have to do with the
it's the
online
game.
experience.
Yeah,
It's the game.
exactly.
It's like, I mean, millions of people play Fortnite on their Switch, and I don't hear
Hear
anybody
them complain about it. Yeah,
complain about it.
exactly.
There's plenty of other games like that, but like the ones, obviously Mario Maker 2 or Smash or something like that comes to mind, and it's
Right.
people will complain about it, but it's like
It's the whole
the other.
IGN
Yeah.
thing. And that's another thing that was topical, right? So IGN for this game for
Hmm.
Bowser's Fury,
Right.
they did a review, and the reviewer gave it like a 7 or
Hmm.
something like that, right? The original 3D World got like a 9.6.
Hmm.
And people were so mad. They're like, "This is such a huge drop for a game that like is better. Like
Hmm.
it's like objectively better, and people like even you say it's better." Sort of thing, right? Why does it have a lower score? And it's like it's because he's a different person, right?
Yeah.
so people don't make those distinctions,
Hmm.
and especially in the case of like Nintendo, which I think is more forgivable than IGN, because IGN plasters this is made by this person.
Hmm.
Like Nintendo isn't going to say like this was made by NPD Group 3
Right.
in the
Yeah.
like at the front of the video game. Like you got to dig for that sort of situation.
Hmm.
So not everybody's going to know that. Or care to even do that much. They just want something to shake their fist at because
Yeah.
their connections drop like
I mean,
that.
the other thing with that too is like, so maybe we're comparing game to game or, game, that kind of thing. But then also thinking in a 2006 mindset or whatever, even, say that
Right, when
the
all
actual
of gaming connections were bad.
Right.
you
Well, I was
know,
going to say, even completely separate from the quality of the gameplay, if we're comparing things like it had voice messaging or it had these other features, I
right.
mean, that's definitely true. And that is like
Yeah,
sort of an
and
apples
that's
to apples
separate,
thing.
right?
But at the same
But it's
time,
separate
it's
from
like,
what I'm talking about.
yes, right. But like, if that's something that's being talked about in here, which it doesn't specifically seem like it is, but if we're comparing those, 2006 was a time where if you were going to play something online, there wasn't really another option. Like they needed to put voice chat inside
Mhm.
the the
Well,
network
there
for
was
it
like
to be
Skype
able.
and all that stuff, but
Yeah, but like it wasn't, it was like
like
Skype
worse.
on a
Yeah,
computer and stuff,
right.
like not on, you just have a phone that's able to do
Yeah.
and stuff. So it wasn't part of the meta in the same way
Hmm.
that now, like, you know, Nintendo can rely on. That doesn't mean they should, but that they can, and it's not super unreasonable at the same time to be like, and just use something else. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine, I can. But like, again, it would be much better if it did. But yeah, in the PSN days in 2006, again, that would have been very unreasonable or something. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. It's just like I don't
Mm,
know, and it's like rose tinted glasses and all this
yeah,
stuff
right.
because people are forgetting I had these consoles. I always have every console. Just because I have a Nintendo channel doesn't mean that I only play Nintendo and have always been like that. Like
Hmm.
literally, like most of my family that like knows me, either like half of them are like, because I very similar to you, like went through. I think pretty much in the same era was like, I don't really care about video games right now, dude. I don't got time
Hmm.
for that. I'm doing other stuff, dude. It's like
Hmm.
so a part of them are like, what? They're like, how's this your job? It's like I know you liked video games, but it's your job. And
Hmm.
then the other side, like I've had family that would straight up be like, oh, I thought you were going to be a PlayStation guy.
Hmm.
But it's just like, for me, it's always a thing of like, because I've always been a person that had, even in that interim, like even when I wasn't really playing games
Hmm.
that often, I still had all the consoles. I still had a Wii, I still had a PlayStation 3, I still had an Xbox 360,
Hmm.
more than one. I had
Hmm.
like the original PS3, and then I got the Slim, I had the Elite, the Xbox 360 Elite, the white one or
Hmm.
whatever, and then I got the S, the black, like sleek looking one, and then I had a Wii, and then I got the
Hmm.
freaking Wii with the top loading disc thingy, without
Yeah.
the GameCube, but it's
Right.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I had all these consoles, like I'm experiencing this. It's not just something that I didn't know about. And then it's like, yes, like playing like Smash Brothers Brawl.
Hmm.
We see that's the thing that's the wildest to me specifically, right? I play the game that is arguably, I would say on Switch specifically, probably the second worst game experience wise online that is like a popular game
Hmm.
online.
Right.
Smash Brothers. I'd
Yeah.
say the worst is probably Mario Maker.
100%.
And so I think that I have a pretty good sample size to be like, it's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world, you
Hmm.
know. Because like I've had worse. I've had on even Series X. I think that as far like every other game,
Hmm.
excluding those two examples, Mario Maker and Smash Brothers, and just regular games that are online, the Call of Duties, that sort of stuff, I've had
Hmm.
more lag, more drop connections, etc., etc., so on and so forth on Series X and PlayStation 4. But I mean, I literally had Series X for what, 3 months now or whatever,
Hmm.
than I have on Switch. So I don't know if it's as bad as people are saying. Like experience wise and like the amount of features, yes, for sure, definitely. But that's a different conversation
Hmm.
entirely.
Yeah.
Because people are like talking like it's this thing of like, man, it's so laggy. That's always the thing that they presented with first. Like the fact that it needs to be further elaborated, where it's like, oh, I mean the features is like your argument's bad, then right?
Uh-huh.
Because as far as that goes, yeah, I agree. Sure, that's true.
Hmm.
But we could read his next response too, because I want
Um,
to elaborate on this too.
well,
Because
because you,
in this comment, I was talking about Nintendo. I talked about how Nintendo's priorities and strengths isn't online because they didn't care about that. That's not what they cared about. They cared about building up their repertoire of franchises, and that's what they
hmm
did, and that's why they're at where they're at. And I was like, PlayStation and Xbox, on the other hand, don't really have that. And then this is the part that.
yeah. And then debatable on Sony not having S tier franchises. Their series, for whatever reasons, just aren't as evergreen as Nintendo's, but the quality is about the same. Other than that, though, I see what you mean. Can't expect something to be good if they don't try it. But at the same time, in my opinion, it is behind the times because you see other companies investing in online and online play is popular. So why not invest in it yourselves? But I agree with you. I'd pay the $60 a year for Nintendo Online if it was actually good.
Um, I disagree because it's like the whole thing, the old adage, would if so and so jumped off the cliff, would you do that too? Like,
Hmm.
just because they're investing in something, why do I need to invest in that? What about that says to me that I need that? I'm doing fine. I'm selling at the time. I'm selling more consoles than they are.
Hmm.
They had the most popular console on the market. So why do they care about HD gaming, and why do they care about online? Because their console didn't have it, and
Yeah.
it's doing fine.
I mean, I
And
think it's definitely the thing of like it's them investing in it wouldn't be from their perspective as a need so much as something that they're investing in to get like now that they're seeing like, oh, we've got a bunch of people that are invested. We have 26 million subscribers or something. Is that what it was? Some feels
yeah,
right.
I think that was the figure that was like before. It was like the figure from the
Gotcha.
financial report before this. I don't know if they gave a
Yeah.
specific figure.
So, but say we have 26 million people, it's like, okay, well, how can we leverage that now that we've got
Right.
those people in the door and do something better with
Exactly.
that, as
Because
opposed to it being something that like all these people feel like they're because like we've got 26 million people that are already doing it, so like we don't need to do something to keep that necessarily. Um, yeah, I mean,
it's
but
just,
I'm in
you
the
can.
camp that I'd like them to do more things
I would
and
too.
me pay
But
for more for it. But yeah,
again, most of my problems when people have complaints is how they present the complaint.
right,
And
yeah.
I think that I'm pretty consistent with that. And I've said that, where it's like,
Hmm.
I agree with you. I'm in the same camp, but I think that you hurt this argument by saying it how you're saying it. Where it's like,
Hmm.
it's the worst thing in the world and it sucks and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's actually not true. That's just wrong. You're just not being truthful here. It can be better and it should be better, but it's not the worst thing. It's not, they can uh, very matter of factly present an argument for why this thing costs as much money as it does, and it would make sense because it's
Hmm.
not you're expecting parity with Xbox Live and PlayStation Network and stuff like that, and this costs a third of that. So it
Hmm.
being a third as good it makes sense, you know,
Hmm.
like it's just like I don't know, dude. But as far as like the S tier franchise thing, I think you kind of proved my point in your argument, where you're like, you said they're as good quality wise, but they're not as evergreen. I think the evergreen part is the S tier part. Like
Hmm.
the fact that their franchises have value. People like us a Nintendo game goes on sale and what once, three times maybe every year, and it's for 20% off
Hmm.
for like 3 days.
I mean, I
But
think there's also a big difference between S tier franchise and S tier game, where
mhm,
like,
yeah, exactly.
because you could, maybe Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War, something like that. These games that like you're like, no, these are like some of the best games of all time, or something, or like an S tier game, and that could be true, but at the same time, still that the franchise just
Yeah,
doesn't
like
have the same.
how good is it at being a franchise,
Hmm.
you
Right?
know?
Yeah.
By that meaning, and I don't mean by having like multiple games and stuff, like franchise in
Like a
uh like the business jargon way,
hmm
you
just
know.
as an IP or as
Yeah,
a like
exactly.
standalone representation of a thing, like the Mickey Mouse of
Right.
something. Like, yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know that I would say that Sony has a Mickey Mouse, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in several years they will, because I feel like this
Yeah,
past
they're working
generation.
on it now. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
they started both Microsoft and it's the same thing.
Hmm.
They all are having parallel journeys because they're all like like realizing that they lack with one of the other ones
Right.
has, right?
Yeah.
Like even Nintendo, in some ways, it seems, it's like, oh shoot, we got to catch up to Sony in the video
Hmm.
game department with how their stories are being told, because that's pretty
Hmm.
good, you know. Like while their IP means more to people, they can
Hmm.
do more with that IP if the individual games resonate with people more
Yeah.
outside of just the gameplay of it.
Hmm.
Um, but everybody else, outside of that, like their journey that they're playing catch up on is like they're trying to even get one Mario, you know.
Yeah.
They can't even start to dream about an Animal Crossing New Horizons because they don't even have Mario yet, let alone a Pokemon, a Zelda, a Donkey Kong, so on and so forth, right?
Hmm.
So it's like, and I would argue like in that regard, especially if we're talking features for an online service, a lot of which people are asking for are ones that Nintendo has already done.
Hmm.
Sony and Microsoft are even further behind if we're talking about the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just disagree that it's like it makes the argument sound more impactful, but I think that if you dissect it for what it is objectively, it makes it weaker because it's not truthful. And
Hmm.
that's my main issue with the argument. It's not that I disagree with what the desired outcome is. It's the way you go about attempting to get it that I take
Hmm.
issue.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean Oreo, I agree too. Yeah, like AJ was saying, just that like ideally the end product would end up being a better thing, but it's just in the meantime, how do we get there?
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of IPs, I made a video on some things in some
It is
games, and it
true.
was just a
You
kind of
did
random
like a
video.
classic action point, like
Yeah,
the ones that
yeah.
like Justin is like, I miss the old Fanatics 4.
I
Like,
miss the old Kanye. Um,
exactly, exactly. I didn't know if you were going to get that reference or not. But,
That's okay. So, some insight into me and Ashley. At some point, she was listening to that all the time, and then at some point, something about Beyblades came up,
oh
and
my
so,
god.
and she kept not saying Beyblades right. She would say Blades. And so we would just go around going, "I miss the old Blades. I miss the old Blades. I miss the Blades." And like it was a very fun time. So we
That's
miss the old
hilarious.
Blades.
Yo, same. Yo, the new Beyblades look stupid and I
I
hate
know it's so actually that'll come up in. I saw a question, and hold on to that, everybody. Beyblades.
it.
But yeah, so
Blades.
Blades.
Uh,
So yeah, very classic action point kind of thing. Everybody's comments were very fun and good, and I pulled some that were some other ideas that I thought would be fun to talk about. Andrew Beisheim, probably said your last name wrong. Thank you for writing in. Said, also, seems like there's a decent opportunity for a nostalgia play with a $60 release that contains medium size 1080, Wave Race, and Hydro Thunder games.
Yo, that would be wild. Like
I
if they
think,
did like, do you mean like new ones? Like if they did like AA
yep.
size, which I don't even know if that. I don't know. You think if they did a new way, I mean, not like what do you think that they're willing to invest in it? But if they were to make what
Mm-hmm.
a Wave Race game felt like when Wave Race was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
a capital T trademark thing,
Yeah.
do you think that that would equate to a AAA game? Or would that be more like a AA, like Ty the
So are
Tasmanian
you
Tiger
saying
or something?
like in 2021 they make a Wave Race game and it's just Wave Race, but they make it pretty much
If it's a new Wave Race
uh-huh
with the same like
scope
equivalent, yeah,
as the
equivalent
original
scope to what the
double
game
A.
felt like then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, to what the game felt like then might be a different question than like what it actually was like
Mhm.
same
Or,
concept,
yeah,
graphics
not even
upscaled kind of thing.
necessarily
Yeah.
like how it felt to you, because it could be a game that's like there's like some indies that are like, oh, this indie's so
Yeah.
epic, dude,
Right.
it's the best game,
Yeah.
like that. Not in that way, but like when you play the game or played the game
Yeah. Hmm.
with the budget, because budgets, I mean, in some regard, like give or take, depending
Hmm.
on what they're investing in, are comparable, right?
Hmm.
Where it's like AAA games are consistent in how much they cost. They cost more now, but they're consistent.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can $80 million game is probably a AAA game. Back
Right.
then, a $5 million game is probably a
Yeah.
AAA game. Like that sort of thing,
I
right?
think the easiest answer is just reference our thoughts on Star Fox. I think it's pretty much the same kind of thing where, like,
Okay.
if it had the same scope and all that, and it was like a reimagining of what it was back then, it wouldn't
Okay,
tear up
so yeah.
being a
So like if
AAA
it was
game.
the exact same kind of game, it
Right.
would be like a double A sort of
Yeah. And that's why I think
almost
like in my
indie.
suggestion of this, it would need to have um like a substantial campaign mode as well as like a versus mode that has actual like tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because like yeah, and I mean honestly it's a little bit crazy that Mario Kart,
is as big as it is.
yeah, I mean a little
Yeah,
bit like in terms of the breadth
but
of,
that's the
because
power of the brand. That is
100%. But
that's
like, because
completely
Ashley's
what
been
it is.
playing Mario Kart, like I said, and so she played through at 100cc and got gold medals on all of the races, and like now is playing through them at 150cc and stuff. But if you don't want to play multiplayer, and B aren't like much of a completionist, like I went through. I don't care about 50cc, but I got 3-star gold medals on all the 50cc ones because like, completionist and do all the things. Um, but like all things considered, it's like super high production quality, lots of characters and stuff, but it's somewhat limited gameplay in terms of like it's these
I don't know if I
number of
agree.
tracks. It's not. I mean, it's a ton of tracks.
It's limited gameplay for the type of player you are,
Right.
but that's not how consumer products work. It's kind of
Hmm.
like what we were talking about. This was like way before. I think you weren't even like subscribed yet, because I'm pretty sure you subscribed like after 2018
I
Switch
think so.
video,
Yeah.
like
Around
that sort
then.
of thing.
I might have gone back and
Um,
watched some older videos though, but yeah, I don't know.
so like right before the Switch came out, and we knew like how much the Joy-Con cost and blah blah
Hmm. Hmm.
blah. The whole thing was like Joy-Con cost too much and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, they don't. Like this is like this
Hmm.
makes sense with how much they cost, because look at their features.
Yeah.
Look at what the current controllers can do, and they're $60. Look at what this controller can do, and it's it's $10 more. That
Hmm.
tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's like that's an entirely different thing as far as like drift and all that stuff, because like that's
Hmm.
caused by something different, like that. I still would argue even with drift they're still worth that. It's just in practice they don't work as well as they should.
Yeah.
But it's still all that tech packed into a small place, which is
Hmm.
two things that are usually very expensive,
I mean, I think, or
like
another parallel easily
my
here is,
laptop,
yeah.
because I eventually I want to buy an M1, or whatever the MacBook
Hmm.
Pro version is, the like pro version of the Apple Silicon computers are.
Hmm.
It's probably going to cost as much, if not more, than my desktop computer, because
Hmm.
desktops are usually cheaper
Hmm.
than equivalent or close to equivalent
Yeah,
laptops,
because they don't
because
have to
that
pack it all in so
yeah,
closely and
exactly.
like, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So like that was that's what I was saying about that, where it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, like you may not care about HD Rumble, you may not care about, like
Hmm.
the NFC reader and stuff like that, but it's not a made to order thing, so
Uh-huh.
like you're paying for it whether you want to use it or not, because you want a Joy-Con.
Yeah. I mean,
I
and
think
like
Mario
same
Kart
thing
is
with,
similar.
yeah, Mario Kart and like NSO, we talk about that all the time,
Right.
where like if you
Yeah.
don't play online, you don't play classic games, who cares? Honestly, like a good parallel for Wave Race and Star Fox and stuff is Pokemon Snap coming back
Yeah.
out, and that'll
Yep.
be interesting to see like what you know in what way will that justify people's $60, and it will, it'll be fine, but like
I
some
think
people are
that
going to complete it
Pokemon
and
Snap,
it'll be interesting.
I don't even know what a good, because like even that I don't think is a good analog, because I think it's similar to, because like although I think that like as a whole package Mario Kart
Hmm.
does have more content than
Yeah.
it feels like to you, and even
Yeah.
to me,
Oh,
because
it
I don't
does
play
for
Mario
sure.
Kart.
Yeah.
But Pokemon Snap, I think, unless it's different from the original
Hmm.
game, does have very light content, but it doesn't matter because it's Pokemon. Like the brand,
Yeah.
and specifically, it's Pokemon Snap. It's something that
Hmm.
people have been begging for literally decades at this
Hmm.
point. So that alone is worth the
Which I mean,
money.
again, even for Mario Kart, there's if it were exactly the same game but completely just generic character roster, it would lose a lot of its importance and
Hmm.
significance and stuff
Right.
just there. Even though it's still just a phenomenal game to actually play. So it is funny through playing it with Ashley. I'm like, man, I would love the Mario Kart 9 because this is fun. Like, but I mean, to the original question though of Wave Race, yeah, I think especially because of lack of brand recognition, like as opposed to Pokemon Snap,
Hmm.
either they would have to really like go all out as far as the game goes to make it a AAA game, which I don't think there's a very likely clientele
Right.
for that. Honestly, I think this is the
Yeah,
better way to do it.
like extreme sports isn't as in as it
Yeah,
was,
it's just
you
not,
know.
and
It
that's
was like
fine.
a
Like
thing like back then. Like
100%. Yeah.
skateboarding was cool,
X Games
snowboarding
and
was
stuff. I mean,
cool,
maybe
you
there's
know,
still
like
X Games, but I don't really know. But no, I mean, I think something
probably
like
not right
this,
now. Probably
no, definitely not.
9/30/21.
But something like that would be a great way, throwing together 1080 Wave Race Hydro Thunder. I commented like Pilot Wings, something like that. It's not
Yeah.
X Games, but like those kinds of
Their
things that,
combined brand recognition, I think, would be good.
yeah. And then doing something where even like, it's a maybe not Wii Sports in terms of like gameplay, obviously in any way, but in that you're the same person that's like, I'm going to go to the mountain today, or I'm
Yeah,
going to go
right,
jet
right, right,
ski or
right, right.
something. Not like,
Like a
separating them
Nintendo
out into different games.
Land, sort of like that, sort of like
Yep.
a package of different experiences.
Yep. I don't know how they would brand it, to be honest, because that would be tricky. But
Yeah,
still,
it would be hard because it's like it kind of is like it defeats the purpose of combining all the like limited brand power of all these things. Where it's like
right.
they're all pretty recognizable.
Hmm.
Like I think I put Wave Race in the tags for your video, and it had like a 64. Like that's
Hmm.
not bad. It's higher than 50. And generally, if it's like
Uh-huh.
lower than 50, I'm like, I don't want to use that tag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I mean, people know what it is,
Hmm.
but it's not Mario Kart, which is
Yeah.
like an 80 something
Yeah. Right.
at all times.
Yeah.
So
So no, but that would be, I don't know how they would make that work branding wise, but I like that idea a lot. And that could be the solution for a bunch of their, if that worked well, they could use a bunch of their older IPs and do a similar kind of like sort of melding together 2 or 3 different thing there. And that could be a good, way
I
forward for
just
them.
think that Disney and specifically Marvel are a very good framework for
Yep.
how
Hmm.
Nintendo should work.
Yep.
Because why do people care about freaking, I mean, less so
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch, but especially like Vision. Like, what do people care about them right now?
Yeah.
Like I know why they care about them right now, but
Mhm.
and to even extrapolate further than that, why do people care about Iron Man as much as they do?
Yep.
Because when Iron Man first happened, that was like to pretty much everybody that wasn't like a super comic, like Marvel comics fan.
Mhm.
Iron Man was like, who is that? Like maybe I vaguely know who Iron Man is. He's like a
Mhm.
D tier hero, but now he's like the guy. They put
Yeah.
him in freaking Spider-Man's promotional materials because
Yep.
they didn't know if it would sell well without him. Like that sort of stuff, right? Like if
The amount of people
Nintendo-
saying that he's their favorite MCU or their
Yes.
favorite Marvel character is like, yeah, that's
he's the guy. He's the guy.
Yep.
Like he carried the whole thing, which is crazy to me.
Yep.
Imagine if Nintendo leveraged their IP like that, right?
Mhm.
And Ice Climbers is the Iron Man of Nintendo. Like that would be wild. And like they have the
Everybody's
pieces
got
to do
Nana
it.
and Popo tattoos. Like
It's crazy, dude. But like they have the pieces to do it. Like, and they already have the IP. They have the Avengers already. It's literally just Smash Brothers. They could literally do that.
Actually, speaking of that, go ahead.
And I think it's funny because like it feels like they are kind of leaning into that, right? Like like the fact that they're like, yeah, we want to like, and they cite companies like that. Like they cite like, oh yeah, the success of Netflix and stuff. Like they know, obviously. I mean, as I've been saying, like they're the multi-billion-dollar corporation. I'm just interested to see if they actually do that because it is like a thing that so many companies fight for, and there's really only 2 companies that can compete. And one of them's not even trying. It's literally just Disney and Nintendo that have the IP to be able to like do that, And maybe I want to say like 2.5. Like Pokemon Company, I think has the like on their own has the cachet to like have their own little Marvel Cinematic Universe or their own gigantic Marvel Cinematic Universe if they really wanted to. But
yeah.
I just want to see the universe when that is a thing. Like I want us to be hyped right now because we're like freaking watching a Duck Hunt Dog 8 episode long series. Like imagine that universe, dude.
Oh, it's insane. They need to leverage their IPs to be able to do some shows because like there's just fun stuff that can happen there, and
And
they're
it doesn't
not
even
doing it.
necessarily have to be shows either.
Right.
Like they could
But
do it
like,
with their video games too, and that would
yeah.
be even more interesting to think about because nobody.
Hmm.
I mean, Marvel's kind of teasing towards it. You know, they kind of want to do like there's like hints of that in the Spider-Man games on PlayStation.
Hmm.
So maybe they'll establish that there. Maybe that'll even more be the like inspiration for Nintendo. Like, oh yeah, we'll do. And then what if they do it between? Because you know how it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is like between the movies and the shows. What
Hmm.
if they do it and it's between the movies and the video games and the TV
Man.
shows and all this stuff? It's crazy,
Yeah.
dude.
Speaking of that, Wyatt Rosebrock says a Metroidvania Melee game like Guacamelee with all the Smash characters, a lot would already be built. As in, like bringing them all together in
So
a
what,
game.
like a subspace
I guess kind of like
emissary,
a
but
subspace emissary, but like it's their movement had better be better. Is all I'm saying. But that's it. But yeah, I thought that
yeah,
was
yeah, I'm
relevant
down.
in any case. Yeah,
I
man.
mean, I'm down. I'm down for that. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking because like people that question comes up a lot. Like when me and Lee were playing Smash Brothers yesterday, somebody was talking about 3D Smash Brothers, and I was like, I don't even know how that would work. Because like Smash Brothers as it exists now, it's like dependent on the fact that it's 2D.
Yeah, right.
And like it's 3D kinda, and like
Mhm.
a way that like it's janky that it's 3D because it's like the
Mhm.
Z axis kind of gets in the way sometimes. Where like moves just don't work because
Oh,
they go into the Z axis. Where it's like,
interesting.
oh, this move just went behind you. It didn't hit because it went behind your head, and you're lucky, you
Weird.
know.
Yeah.
Um, so,
That's interesting. But yeah, I mean,
um,
I don't know. I thought that idea would be fun because, like, yeah, it's Metrovanias are always neat when you have different power ups, but having
mhm.
different characters that you
Yeah,
unlock as
different
the new power
characters.
ups to like
Yeah,
open
because
up
like
areas and
I
stuff.
mean, subspace emissary is the closest thing we have to that, where it's
100%. Yeah.
literally like that, where it's like it's a Metroidvania in the sense where like certain characters you need to places that other
Hmm.
characters can't,
Yep.
because of how their recovery works or how many jumps
Hmm.
they have or whatever and stuff like that.
Yep.
So.
Nice. Gazentra Fox says a random Eternal Darkness sequel would be a huge surprise. The only reason I think Nintendo still knows they have that IP is they keep renewing the trademarks every few years. But seriously, as I am every year, I'm hoping for a new IP, which is which is always a surprise, even though we've actually seen Nintendo do that every year in the Switch's life
Yep.
cycle. 2017, we saw ARMS and Snipper Clips and 1-2 Switch, I guess. 2018, Labo. 2019 saw Ring Fit Adventure and the Stretchers. And 2020, we saw that rabbit jump rope thing, which sort of counts.
Yeah, that's the thing that's interesting about the whole new IP conversation because they do it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I don't know if like I like that. We talked about it earlier, where it's like a lot of the plight of the Nintendo fan. I'm on board. I agree. You know, I probably don't agree with again, like your method of expressing your plight, but I'm probably like, yeah, man, I'm on the same page as you as far as like the problem at hand. But I don't agree with the new IP thing. I want them to stop making new IP and get better at taking care of the ones that they have. You know? That's what I want to see. And that doesn't even mean like I'm not even in the because like I don't know. I don't agree with the whole Pokemon fan thing where it's like I'm tired of Kanto. I'm down. Give me more Kanto. Give me more of everything though. You know? Like
Yeah, right.
Like me saying I want them to take care of more of their IP doesn't mean that I'm like, oh, I'm tired of Mario. Give me less Mario. No, keep giving me Mario, but also freaking give me a Rob the Robot. You know, like give me all of the things.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've just got so many things. They have Super Rare Games had put out a picture that was just a whole bunch of Nintendo's franchises, and they're like, pick 3. And Duncan retweeted and was like, yeah, but no, it was Falcon did. I think, man, it was one of you guys retweeted and was like, yeah, but they need to use some of these like way more than they do right now anyway. And I totally agree.
For me, it was pretty easy. I mean, the first 2 were easy, and then it was like because I like pretty. There's not really a Nintendo franchise that I like outright and like I hate this.
Right.
There's like ones that I like less than others. Like even like Xenoblade, I don't hate it. It's like there's things that I appreciate about the IP. There's characters that I like in it and stuff like that. So it's like in that regard, it was hard, but picking favorites wasn't hard.
Yeah.
I got to the point where it's like, well, the ones that are obvious that everybody knows that I was going to circle, Smash Brothers and Pokemon, those were gimmies. That was like, but then once I
Hmm.
got to the third one, I was like,
What'd you
hmm.
decide?
I picked Splatoon.
Okay, interesting.
Just because I think that Splatoon is like the type of game or a type of game that resonates with me more.
Yeah, right.
Because like when done right and when it's like current and stuff like that, it challenges me mechanically. It
Hmm.
can be like a social thing. It gives me multiple like things to get good at,
Hmm.
where it's like, okay, I feel like I have a solid handle on this weapon type. Let me try this one or this gear, or like different combinations of those two things. Or does it work on this stage and this mode? And, like that
Yeah.
sort of gameplay loop works really well for me. So I was like, yeah, this one. But I still was sitting there. I was like, Mario, but Zelda, but like I was like, I don't
Uh-huh.
know. I guess Splatoon.
Yeah. I didn't even answer it. I was like, well, they still got all of them, so I refuse.
It's like, well, I don't have to live in this world, so why would I torture myself like this?
Christopher Mendez suggests an X game or an X-Men Academy game made by the Fire Emblem team.
Yo, that's a whole. Uh, that's a whole video, dude.
I know.
How have we never done that? Not specifically that, but the idea of that,
Yep.
like third party, like I mean, like
I've thought about
license
it a
for
lot of
like
times, as far as like, well, more the video of like, I don't know what franchises this team or Ubisoft could take and make a cool game with,
yeah,
or something like
like
that.
I've thought of that in the opposite direction, like
Yeah.
of like I mean, I still don't even think we've done that video.
No.
I'm
Yeah, we
pretty sure we
haven't.
have not.
I think the closest thing is that Hunger Games video
Yeah,
from
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
2016.
yeah. Yep. And
Yep.
that wasn't even like a video. That was like I had to do that as an assignment, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. Like that
That's
was
hilarious.
most of college for me. Literally, was
Hmm.
like I got to do schoolwork. I'm going to school for media. I would literally have a media company. It's
Uh-huh.
like I'm doing both. As long as as long as I go to my professor, I'm like, yo. Some of them though, some of my professors were jerks, and they were like, no, I want you to realize my vision.
Hmm.
Like get over yourself. But most of them were like, yeah, dude, do it. Like that's awesome that you have this thing going on. So like, yes,
Hmm.
do that. And that video at the time, like it did fine. But
Hmm.
then after the fact, it like has like
Yeah, randomly.
15,000 views or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's wild. Which is fine. I mean, and that's not even like the exception to that, right?
Yeah.
Like I did probably the first video I ever did at Full Sail because I started them like in tandem. Like it
Hmm.
was like I want to do YouTube, and then I did YouTube, and then like my fourth video was seen by TGN, and then they were like, "Yo, you want to make videos for us?" And then it also just became my job.
Hmm.
I was like, "Okay, cool." And it was fun because like my dad, he was like, "I think you gotta like." While you're going to school, you got to stop doing YouTube for a little bit. And I was like, no,
Hmm.
I don't think I'll do that. So I did not. But
Hmm.
yeah, all that to say, it's wild that video
Yep.
has that many views, and we should probably do both of those videos, maybe multiple of them, where it's
Yep.
just like this IP. Nintendo should make this of this thing
Hmm.
because they used to do that. Like freaking
Yeah.
Popeye was like the first, one of the first things that they wanted to do.
Hmm.
So yes, but
But yeah.
also I'm down. I'm down
Yeah, I think that sounds awesome.
with the X-Men idea specifically.
Hmm. Continuing on, last one from our videos. Jeffrey McHugh says, I really think Nintendo should turn Star Fox into a squad-based shooter like Gears of War. Star
Yo.
Fox Commandos, it would be called. Peppy, Fox, Falco, and Sloppy, Slippy covered the player's custom animal
Avatar.
avatar from the air while you complete missions on the ground throughout the Lilat system. Perhaps fighting off an invasion of space pirates led by Ridley. Metroid crossover.
Yo, I'm down. I'm
Yeah,
down
man.
for that.
That sounds great.
Yes, I'm 100% down for that. Because like
You have it.
that could be like the differentiating factor between Star Fox and Metroid, and still make Star Fox more like Star Fox is in universe, right? Because
Hmm.
I think the
Hmm.
best way to make Star Fox more like Star Fox in universe is to make it a third person or first person adventure game of some
Yeah.
sort.
Right.
And it's like, but they tried that already, blah, with the Star Fox Adventure. It's like, yeah, and that got good reviews at the time. It's like people like that at the time, but
Hmm.
platform, like people were just figuring out platformers and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
like it aged poorly.
Hmm.
Or maybe it even did. I don't even know. I haven't played it in a long time. I got to get a GameCube. um,
It didn't. I mean, I played it for the first time back, like 4 or 5 years ago or something like that, and it didn't age. I mean, it's like graphically, it's out of date and stuff like
yeah,
that,
yeah, of course,
and it's
yeah.
like tonally, like I kind of mentioned in the video, it's sort of weird just because it's like that doesn't. I don't know why Star Fox and all the dinosaurs and stuff, but that's obviously.
Well, that we know
Yeah,
the
exactly.
behind the
But then other than
scenes.
that, like I think it wasn't always super clear what to do and where to go, that kind of thing. But
That's
besides that,
Zelda,
like
dude.
yeah, right, exactly. Um, so yeah, it seemed like a B tier of that kind of game anyway, like without the Star Fox skin and any of that kind of thing. It was like
Yeah,
pretty good of that sort of game, and then
right.
just had a Star Fox skin
And
on
that's
it.
the thing. Like when people use those as examples, it's like, but that's not even the best case
Right.
scenario for
Yeah.
that concept.
I mean,
You
it's
know,
like
like
saying Donkey Kong 3D can't work because Donkey Kong 64, and it's like
yeah,
no, it's
exactly.
if a 3D
Or
platformer can work.
that like Sonic. If that was the thing, which I mean,
Hmm.
I agree in hindsight because it's like I don't think. I mean, I think Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are fine, but
Hmm.
like if they were like Sonic 3D Blast sucks, so Sonic can't work in 3D. I guess we're not making Sonic Adventure anymore.
Yeah.
That would have been dumb, you
Right.
know?
Yep. So yeah, that sounds great. There's Nintendo do some things. I mean, the nice thing is like unless we're getting very very few games this year, we're going to be surprised by what Nintendo's releasing because there's
Yeah,
not
it's
like
true.
a ton of rumors like there were last year. Like last year we just had the rumors about all the things coming into it, but this year I mean it's really just speculative stuff about Zelda and Metroid, and that's pretty much
Hmm.
it. Besides that, it's anything that they announce would be a surprise, and I like surprises, so I'm down. And there it is. All right, and now to the last section is Q&A, and here we go. This is from YouTube community. I asked a poll of whether people are going to buy Super Mario 3D Worlds, or if they're already playing it, or not going to buy it, or what. So Cool said definitely going to buy. Definitely going to buy it later. I just got Pikmin a couple days ago, but I haven't had the chance to play it yet. Then I need to get Paper Mario and Luigi's Mansion. So unless Breath of the Wild 2 comes out by then, 3D World is next.
Nice.
Nice. Fun
Um,
games.
that's the thing that's kind of wild to me because like I think about games in the context of how I play games, or not how
Mm-hmm.
I play them, like in the sense of like I beat this game or I didn't beat this game, blah blah. But literally, like the games that I get and when I get them.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like for most people, games aren't as big of a priority for them to get as it is
Mm-hmm.
for me because for me it's like a business expense. Like I
Right.
can't do my job well if I'm not like in the know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy for people like for the same people. Obviously, Cool is not one of these people.
Right.
But for the same people that are like, there's no games to play. A lot of these people just play 2 games a year anyway. So it's like, just pick 2 games. There's so many more that you haven't played yet.
Yeah. No, I mean there's a ton of games I know for me too that like if I somehow finished all the games that are in my quote unquote backlog, like there's a lot more games. I know like finally I can now sit down and buy Dragon Quest 11 S and not feel bad about it, buy The Witcher 3 and not feel bad about it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where like yeah, I do like this, idea of going back and playing games. I was like, man, I would have liked to play that at the time, but I didn't have time or money at the time. So I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
play them
I
later.
think, I
And so
mean, I think a lot of it is like the sentiment and maybe uh, people that do the thing that we do are partially to blame for that. Um, for the fact that we're like, all right, new thing, next new thing. We're
hmm
talking about the
yeah,
new
right.
thing now. But like I don't know, I just don't have the same qualms with like in some ways it's like for me I'm like on both ends of the spectrum where it's like I don't want to play older games because I have no real reason to play the older game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind older games being repurposed and made into new games because
Mm-hmm.
then it gives me a reason to play
Yeah.
the older game. You know, like I would want to play
100%.
3D World again because I love 3D World. That's probably
Yeah.
one of the very few Mario games that I've like 100%ed. Like I've
Yeah.
beaten every Mario game I've played, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
only Mario game that I've 100%ed.
Yeah.
Or not only, but one of the only, especially in recent memory. So it's like, yeah, I'll play that again, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to play it on the Wii U.
I mean, it's like, yeah, similarly for me that I've got a copy of Wind Waker, but I've never played on the GameCube, but I've never played Wind Waker. So
Yeah,
I'm
you
waiting
also
for it to
got a
come out to
copy of
Switch.
Pokemon Ultra Moon,
Do I? For my 2DS?
provided by Nintendo out of the kindness of their souls.
Yeah. So, but Cool goes on and says,
it's like I like I like exclusively just give you crap for that, but like there's so many games that Logan just straight up was like, oh, Nintendo said whatever, and I just never said anything in any videos. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
Dude.
I guess it's because it's maybe more out of character for me to
Yeah.
nod or something. Yeah, I don't know. So it's in any case. Cool. Yeah, it goes on to say, and here's the question. Do you guys care at all about achievements/trophies? If not, would you care if Nintendo implemented an achievement system? I like to complete games that I really get into, but by complete, I mean get the in-game 100% marker, not particularly get every single trophy unless it's easy to do so.
No. There's literally the only time that I'm like, yeah, I gotta, I'm down with achievement systems is if I want to play. Like, I still have not had my fill with this game. I've beaten this game. I love this game still. I'm like, and usually it's a mechanical thing, and there's no other reason to play it other than replaying it, which I'm probably not gonna do.
Yeah.
Because that just feels repetitive. Like Spider-Man's a good example. With Spider-Man, the original one, I didn't do it with Miles Morales. I might do it when I get my PlayStation 5, which now, did you know PlayStation 5's coming out June 11th? Did you know that?
Yep. I was about to say, yeah.
But yeah, like with Spider-Man, it was like, I want to play this game more, but I beat this game. So like, I'm going to get all the things. And then I got like 95% of the way through, and then something else came out, and I was like, well, I can't play this game anymore. It's like,
yeah, which is, I mean, like, that's why I was like, maybe I'll go ahead and get all the Koroks in Breath of the Wild, because I was like, I'm out of other things to do, might as well try to do this, and then I stopped at some point, and I was like, I'm done. But I mean, yeah, sometimes I think, especially in that regard, it's nice to have extra incentives to be able to do more things in the game. But like, now having a slightly informed opinion on achievements because I've been playing stuff on my Xbox, at least the way that it does the achievements on the Xbox or with the games that I've been playing, I don't really care about it, because a lot of times it's like I'm just playing the game the normal way, and then an achievement pops up that it's like, you beat a level, you did the level the way the game told you to do it, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't. Okay, cool. Like in my mind, I think there's a way to do it that feels like an extra and fun thing, where it's like,
I think you're not in yet. That's the problem. It's like the people that like it are in, and they go into the game, and they're like, and it's more common with PlayStation because I think they do achievements better as far as like, because like getting the 100% thing is just like doing what the game does, but again, right? Whereas like PlayStation's achievement system feels additive. It's like, I got a trophy for this, it's like, versus like, I got the 100% again. It's like, I don't really care about that. Well, I don't really care about either, but I can understand why people care about trophies more than I can the 100% through the Xbox achievement system.
Yeah, I think what I'd prefer is just for more games to have in-game achievement kinds of stuff that's completely like random things that are like, beat a Lionel wearing, this kind of thing, those kinds of things.
You want a lot of the things that are achievements, but you want them baked into the video game,
right?
Instead of having to go through the achievement list and be like, okay, it wants me to do this. You want to press pause instead of the PlayStation button or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So but at that point, like, I think I've realized I very much don't care at the same time,
Yeah,
because
I just don't.
unless I experience it in a way that's like, oh, this is fun, I'm enjoying this, then like until then it's like, yeah, if
Exactly.
they're not going to do it in a fun way, who cares, you know?
It's only worthwhile for me, and I get it for people that like specifically care about achievements. You know,
Hmm.
like they collect that. It's like I
Yeah.
collect. I don't understand it for Xbox because again, they don't. It doesn't feel as tangible.
Hmm.
Granted, PlayStation trophies don't really feel tangible either, but it's more tangible than I got 100%. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, eh. um, but yeah, I get it for the people that are like I have this many trophies. I have this many platinum trophies,
Hmm.
this many golds. You know, like that sort of thing.
Yep.
I get it. I don't get
Uh,
it with a
right.
capital G, but I get it, you know?
I do know. Farmer Gooch, I think I'm pronouncing that right, but maybe not, said, "Hi, I'm a newcomer to the channel. Oh,
Hello.
loving the
Welcome.
content as I go along. I need glasses, but I want to fully enjoy the handheld game experience in bed. Wearing glasses laying down ain't too comfortable for me, unfortunately. Should I just forget about playing portably and play on my TV?"
It depends. It
Mm.
depends on like what the problem is. Cause like if it's reading, there's accessibility. There's an wait. I am prepared for the
While you look that up, if it's
no,
reading,
I'm
the
not
thing
looking
AJ
up
is about to
anything.
say,
I'm showing it on the screen.
the other
But
thing
I'm
you might have been about to say too is if it's more about like also holding the switch, you could get like a satisfy grip or something like that, and then that could help. Oh, look at that, you're putting it on the screen and everything.
this.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, being able to
if
zoom in
it's
and stuff.
reading, you just do this. Like you double tap. Oh, I can't show you and show you. Well, I could, but that's too much work. So you double tap the home
Yeah.
button and it zooms in, and you can do it like that. I mean, but if it's like generally like playing the game, like if you're trying to play like Splatoon or whatever,
Hmm.
or Smash
Right.
Brothers, and like that is a problem for you, then obviously doing
Yeah.
this won't help you there. Because like you
Uh-huh.
know, like
Hmm.
that's not intuitive or practical at all. But if it's
Yeah.
reading, like for RPGs and stuff like that, I think you could play RPGs by using that.
Hmm.
If you could just zoom in and be fine.
Yep.
But if not, then I'm not sure what else you could do. They might have like because I know they had it for like Game Boy and stuff like that. You
You're
know, they
still on
had
the
those
switch
like
screen, by the
magnify.
way. I don't
I
know.
know. I'm
Okay,
switching back. I'm switching back.
good. No, you're good.
They I don't know if they make. There's probably like a third party company that like super like niche that makes like a magnifier attachment like they used to do
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
Game Boys. You know, maybe they do that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't wear glasses, so it's hard to say on that front. So if really the glasses are the issues more than, because if you're somebody that reads, what do you do when you read in bed is what I'm
Mhm.
curious about. And then at that point, if there's a way to implement that solution where it's like, well, I can read in bed because I lay in this position, but I can't play the switch in that position, then maybe there's some kind of accessory to make,
Yeah, there's
like the
like
Satisfy grip or
grips,
something like that,
and
to
also there's
be
like
able to make
the
that work
other
better.
thing that I don't know what it's called, but the other thing that Bob had a sponsorship for in his video
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With
this week.
what is it called? I don't remember
I don't know,
that
but it
thing.
attaches to the Pro controller.
Yep, it looked cool.
Um, I remember see. I don't know if it was from the same company, but we saw that at like too many games. Someone
Hmm.
was like walked up to us and was like, "Yo, look at this. It's our thing that we're working on." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Mhm.
And last one from YouTube community, Ben Chacon says, been thinking about the Switch UI and other things. When you click on your profile and you see your friends online, shouldn't you be able to send them messages in a Switch chat of sorts and be able to talk to them? Also, say they're playing online and you decide you want to join and you want to send them a message, and they send you the link to their game, and then you can play the game with each other. Also, normal voice chat and maybe more streaming services and Spotify, Twitch, perhaps on Switch. Any thoughts on the matter?
Yes, I agree with all of those things.
I
All of
mean,
those
and
things.
there's like 3 games to my knowledge that do the game invite thing,
Yeah,
and
like
that's it.
see, but
Like,
that's the other part of it that's weird. It's like, um, it, Nintendo, and I mean, they kind of just said as much, right? Where it's like you can do all of this stuff if you just do it, right?
yeah.
Like
You mean to the
there's
developers?
yeah to the
Yeah.
developers. It's like, oh, you want this, you want voice chat? Okay, do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's no like system wide version of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like it's like incapable of doing it.
Yeah.
Nintendo just doesn't care to do it, and apparently developers, some of them do, as far as like voice chat. Developers don't care as much to do it either,
Yep.
or maybe
Yeah.
they
So I
don't have the
mean,
resources.
all
Mhm.
those are things that I think would be good ideas. Being
Yeah,
able to
I
invite
agree.
people and like any of that kind of stuff. Honestly, like I just think it's fun if I'm playing and then you show up online, something about me being like, "Hey," is more fun through the Switch than randomly.
Then
I don't know.
DMing me
I'm
that,
not gonna
yeah.
like go DM you and be like, "I see you're playing a game." Like
Yeah,
that's
for some
weird.
for some reason it's like way more weird to DM
Yeah.
me and be like, so Smash Brothers again.
Yeah.
But like if I'm playing Smash Brothers and I see a notification,
Uh huh. Like
I'm a bit
I see
like I
you.
think well probably not from you, but
Yep.
like most people, if I see them DM me and it's like, oh Smash Brothers again, I'm gonna be annoyed. But if it's like through the Switch, I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah. Right.
like
Man. So yes, that good questions. Yeah, all those things sound like they would be great. Some of those I probably wouldn't use, but all of them somebody would use. So they should do them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Questions from Twitter. Duncan Kitchison asked, "What's something that you guys used to be into, which you fell out of touch with for whatever reason, but would like to get back into?"
Is this
Brad
what you're
said,
going to
"Beanie
say?
Babies."
Is this where
Yeah, this
Blade
is the
Blades is
one.
coming in?
I was
You
gonna
want to
say
get back
Blade.
into Blade Blades?
I I wish that I hadn't given away all of my toys pretty much. Like if I could have kept just a very small sample of each kind of thing, like one or two Bionicles, one or two Beyblades, just to be like, that's the thing that I had. But
Mhm,
who cares?
mhm.
But in any case, yeah, I've seen Beyblades nowadays. I'm like, man, yeah, I don't like these at all. They look gross and very
They're so
cheap. And
dumb. They're so stupid.
whereas they used to have
I mean,
personality.
granted, they were always stupid.
Yeah, I
But the show,
mean, yep,
I feel like the show is better. It like the
yep,
show carried Beyblade hard,
100%. Yep.
because like outside the show is just dumb. It's just very stupid. It's like we're just battling spinning tops, whatever. But the show made it sick. It was like, man, there's freaking dragons coming out of this thing, man. This man
They
has a
all like,
tiger. This has a
yeah.
dragon. He has like a turtle, man. Like,
Hmm. Honestly, it feels a lot to me like, no offense to everybody who's going to take offense to this, but Digimon, in the sense that, like, in the way original stuff, there was, I don't know, maybe it's just because I was in it, but like, I definitely knew like Sea Dragoon and blah, blah, like, the, these ones have personality or something like that. And then now it's
mm,
just like, you're just making a battery Digimon equivalent,
yeah.
Um, that kind of a thing where it's like, yeah, now it
I
just
think yeah, I
feels
think that it's
fabricated as opposed to
I
before,
think
more designed.
just how I think about like Pokemon, right? Like I
Hmm.
think the anime specifically, even though like I'm not even like into the anime now. Like I've
Hmm.
watched the Netflix one now occasionally when I remember
Hmm.
that it exists. But that's mostly because I just don't watch things. So I don't even know if
Yeah,
that's
right.
maybe that's my answer. Watching Pokemon. But like
Hmm.
but like I feel like I wouldn't care about Pokemon as much if it wasn't for like the anime because like how I hear people talk about Pokemon that are like detached from it is very different from how I think about Pokemon. Because
Hmm.
like Pokemon for them is like, oh, it's like a bunch of monsters that you collect and blah blah. It's like, no,
Yeah.
they're not monsters, they're Pokemon. It's like a very distinct thing in my brain where it's like
Uh-huh.
I know they're called pocket monsters, but in
Hmm.
my head they're Pokemon. It's
Yeah.
like they're very uniquely that, and that's
Hmm.
what they are.
Yep.
Um, and I feel like that's kind of how Beyblade was to me with
Hmm.
the anime, where it's like, yo, Dragoon's sick, dude. He's freaking
Hmm.
dope. But like, if I never saw the show, I'm like, yo, I don't care about this top with the dragon on it. What the heck? Like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah. No, 100% agree. And like I think that's why I have a little bit of harder time with some later generations of Pokemon is because coming fresh into them, like it's harder to see them as something oh man, there's a fancy word I want to use, but I don't remember it well enough. But like something that like naturally came out of something, as opposed to
Mhm.
like, oh, that's a little thing that somebody designed. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's the thing. The other thing I
Yeah,
will say for
and
this,
well, I don't know, because I never stopped playing the game. So I
right?
guess that like how I viewed Pokemon
Mm-hmm.
as somebody that actively watched the anime until I want to say like midway through Gen 4, and I was like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
And not even for any particular reason. It was just like, I think that's probably when my brain turned on. I was like, okay, I'm done watching things. I'm never
Yeah.
watching a thing unless it's to be like specifically a zeitgeist related
Hmm.
thing, you know? Um, Maybe that's why. And then like I just continued to play the games, so
Hmm.
that just rolled over. Where it was like
There's
how I
definitely
felt.
something to be said for like, yeah, it's yeah, running into a Pokemon in a Pokemon game or watching it in an anime and it showing up definitely feels more um, like contextualized within the world and
Yeah,
feels like a real Pokemon compared
because
to I
there's
didn't
Pokemon
like.
that like playing in the game.
Hmm.
I thought Sceptile looked stupid. He looked very dumb. And then Ash, or he battled somebody with a Sceptile
Yeah.
or something. I was like, no, actually, Sceptile's pretty sick. And it's not like because I knew kids like that
Uh-huh.
where it's like, oh man, you just like it because it's Ash's Pokemon.
Hmm.
But like it's very specifically for me, and
Hmm.
I know this now because the like Pokken does
Yeah.
something very similar, where it's like, no, like I just like I get the Pokemon better now. Like I
Hmm.
understand it in 3D,
Yep.
literally and like figuratively.
I mean, like with the Detective Pikachu movie, seeing Psyduck, seeing a still image of Psyduck, I was like, oh,
Yes.
no, so much no. And then as soon as I watched the movie and saw him in action, I was like, oh yeah, cool,
Right.
Psyduck looks great, you know.
Yeah.
Something about seeing the
Charizard is still
movement and stuff.
terrifying. Um,
Yeah.
who's a Pokemon that was like a nope? I think Gengar was probably like
Gengar,
the nope.
yeah,
He was
oof,
like the
that's
nope. Gengar,
Gengar's not made
Mr.
of rubber,
Mime,
and in the
but
movie, he looked like he was made of rubber.
Mr. Mime is very intentionally a
I
nope,
felt
though.
like
I
Mr.
think.
Mime was done perfectly.
Yeah, like they like made him like he's kind of
Yeah,
weird because he is kind of weird, you
he
know.
is.
So that
He's
makes
weird.
sense.
The other answer I'd give for this is Pokemon cards, and that's one of those things
True.
where like I just can't get back into it. There's no way, you know, like because
I see the thing now. I think all it's going to take for me to like want to like be in or not want to
hmm
be in, but like to actually act on it is
hmm
another TPCI thing.
hmm
Because like I missed out on it because I wasn't even thinking, like I didn't even consider like actually playing it because like through
hmm
the TPCI thing, I was like, oh yeah, this is dope. I'm gonna have cool cards to look at,
yeah,
you know, because like that's just how Pokemon cards always were in my head. I never thought like even as a kid that had thousands of Pokemon cards,
yeah,
I wasn't like I'm gonna play these. Me and my sister would literally like throw them all over the place. Like, look at these cool pictures all over the ground. You know, it's
yep.
like they were just pictures on cardboard for us.
hmm
And that's how I viewed them coming into the Pokemon Company thing, where it's like, okay, this is dope. I get like mini posters. That's sick. But then people were talking about, the trading card game's dope. You should try it, blah blah. And I was like, maybe I will. And now I have the iPad and I can play it on the iPad. And it's
Yep.
like, I just like instead of being generous and giving all the codes to you people, I'll give you some of the codes, and then I'll use the other codes for myself in the card game, and
hmm
then that's like what will get me, and then I'll buy them, you
Yep.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
I think that's the thing for me. There's such a gap between the collection I do have and the collection I would have now that
Mhm.
like that's too much for me to be able to rationalize. So that's what
Yeah.
keeps me out of it for sure. But
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards for me too right now, because like I like when Logan and a couple other people were like, like my brother were like, we gotta like do Yu-Gi-Oh again, dude. Like let's get
Hmm.
back into Yu-Gi-Oh, because that would have been my answer, but I already did it. Like we already did
Yeah.
it. It's not something that I want to do. Like we did it. That's the thing that keeps it laser targeted for me specifically, is because I know the cards that I like, and I'm like,
Right.
I like heroes. The elemental heroes are the like elemental heroes, mass hero. There's like a whole archetype that's all connected.
Hmm.
Hero monsters, like, and they're still actively supported, so they're like not
Hmm. Oh,
outdated. They're
that's
not
nice. Yeah.
bad now. So it's like it just gives me a very
Does
specific
Yu-Gi-Oh not have the
target.
same like power creep that?
It does,
Oh,
1000% it
oh,
does.
okay.
But there are archetypes that people like the blue eyes
Okay.
cards and like dark
Right. Yeah.
magicians and like that,
Hmm.
that they update, and they're like, oh, we have this, I don't know if you've seen any things of like they have like so probably the last time you saw Yu-Gi-Oh, the newest type of monster, or not new because it was probably the original series, was fusion monsters, and then they had
Hmm.
something after that that also goes in the same deck as the fusion monsters, which is synchros, and then from there it was Xyz monsters, and then it was pendulums, and now it's link monsters. They have an elemental hero, or they have elemental hero archetypes that are pretty much
Mm-hmm.
on par with all of the newer things that were happening. They don't have like Xyz elemental heroes, and they don't have, I don't think, pendulum ones, but they have like
Mm-hmm.
link monsters, which is the newest thing. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not elemental heroes, but they're heroes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
They keep the hero archetype up to date. So it's like it gives me something that's like I can stay up to date, but I don't have to buy everything.
Yeah,
It's
that's
literally just,
nice.
oh, does this have heroes in it? Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Like that's literally the whole like that's perfect for me, where it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
enough to keep me like engaged, but not enough where I'm out here spending thousands of dollars on these cards.
Yeah. No, that's definitely good, because I've heard the same kind of thing with Magic the Gathering,
Hmm.
that like if you try to stay up with one kind of meta,
Hmm.
it's tons of money, it's hard and all that stuff. But you can go the like commander route, which is a lot. It's literally any cards you want, and there's a set rules of how it works and stuff. But then it means that like you can get in for like $30 or something like that to
Hmm.
get a medium deck, which is good. So continuing on, because we got some more questions, and you got to be on
Yep,
the
it's true.
thing.
I have minutes. I mean, I told them I'm probably going to be a little late because we
Cool.
usually wrap this up around like 7 my time anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's. Okay. Well, quickly going through some of these questions, and some of them we might have to hold off till next week. And we will, and we'll answer them when it happens. Falcon said, "When's Lee going to be on the podcast?"
when Lee wants to
Soon.
be on the podcast.
Yeah.
I
Let's
mean,
get Lee on the
I
podcast.
think the time that it would make sense to have Lee on the podcast is when a Pokemon thing or Smash Brothers
Mm-hmm.
thing happens, probably.
Let's do
So
it.
probably then.
Yeah. I'd be more than happy to meet Lee in real time.
See, the thing Lee is a character.
Yeah.
Because Lee's like, yo, why aren't you introducing me to all these people? I'm like, when do I randomly introduce anybody to
Anyone to
anybody?
anyone. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's like I introduce people when it makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like the second that you started doing fanatixfour, I wasn't like, Parker, meet Bob. It's like you met Bob, but it was
Mm-hmm.
when it made sense.
It's true. All right, last one from Twitter, and then I think the Discord ones will have to hold off because I actually will need to go in a little bit too. But but yeah, there's some good ones in the Discord. So, but in any case, Tom said, "What is your favorite Pokemon region based on the games, anime, and Pokedex? Personally, mine is Sinnoh, but nostalgia definitely plays a part in it, seeing as it was my first game and the anime I grew up watching."
Makes sense. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I asked him for further clarification
Uh-huh.
because I wasn't 100%
Is it one
sure.
each or one for all three?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said like an averaging. So like
Mm-hmm.
your favorite that accounts for as much of this or all of
Yep.
it as possible. Because for me, it's multiple. It's like my favorite region like is different from like my favorite Pokemon from that
Mm-hmm.
region sort of thing. Like, because I would say like my favorite games as far as regions go, like generation sort of situation,
Mm-hmm.
is Heart Gold because of the two regions. And
Yeah. Right.
it checked so many of those like Pokemon boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like my favorite game overall is like Pokemon Sword and like,
Mm-hmm.
like that sort of stuff. Like there's so many different answers for this question. But I think the averaging of all of it would probably be Heart Gold. But Heart Gold I think is cheating because it's two regions. So if we're just saying singular region, Kanto probably. I think it has to be Kanto for me.
Interesting.
For region. Yeah, like
Yeah.
specifically favorite region. Because
So
like that's like the only
yeah.
region I can think of that like I like as a region for the region, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything else is like, this is Pokemon, I like this, but the region specifically doesn't resonate with me. Like
Yeah.
there's like I don't think I know by heart every town in every region other than Kanto. That's
Yeah.
literally it. Like I can name a few. Like there's some regions where I can't even name one town.
Yeah.
Like Gen 5, I can't think of a single town from Gen 5. I can think of like what the towns look like, but I don't know what it's called. Like so it's like that sort of situation.
I think I'm sure you have a guess as far as what mine is, and probably. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I think I'm going to say Johto, to be perfectly honest, because I think that was there's something about it still where the fact that it was the new thing of the thing that I loved made it feel like all of the Pokemon were like, oh, that's a cool Pokemon. Like there's
Right.
just a ton of Pokemon that are iterations on something that I loved.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just feels like cooler or whatever. And especially because I kind of stopped after that, it hasn't ever lost that shine or something,
Right.
that it had at the time. So there's that. And then also, like you said, the fact that like in the games you go back to Kanto as well. So it kind of is all
Yeah, that's why
encompassing.
it's like a cheat code.
Yeah,
I
it's a cheat code in that regard.
I can't in good
Um,
conscience pick that one.
but yeah, I mean, also, like the show, I really enjoyed. Similarly, just like the show felt like it was kind of getting into its own
Yeah.
in the Johto seasons and stuff. So I think I just have a lot of strong
Whenever
feelings
I
about
like would randomly, I do it less so now because I watch things
Right.
less now. But whenever I would randomly, I want to watch old Pokemon episodes, it would be somewhere in Johto. Like Johto in my head back then was like the Cell Saga of Dragon Ball Z in my head.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is like the one or whatever. But in retrospect, I feel differently about both of those things. Where it's like, nah, Cell's derivative and stupid. Just like everything else after Frieza. But I don't feel that way about Johto. But Johto,
Mhm.
I can't pick Johto because it's like, it feels like a cheat code because Kanto. And
Mhm.
also, it's a worse version of what I don't like about Gen 1. Where it's
Mm.
like Gen 1 feels antiquated and like arbitrarily difficult, where it's like,
Mm.
I got to grind for 40 hours or whatever.
Right.
Not 40 hours, but you know what I mean? Like half of the game time, if not more than that, because people are complaining about how fast they can get through like Let's Go relative
Mhm.
to yellow and blue and red and all that stuff and green. But it's just because you have to grind more and you don't have to grind
Mhm.
and Let's Go Pikachu and
Yep.
Eevee. Even though Let's Go took me less time than more time than
Mhm.
Pokemon Yellow did when I
Hmm.
played that right before I replayed. I mean, because I replayed
Interesting.
Yellow and then I
Yeah.
played Let's Go. I beat Yellow faster.
Hmm. I guess because with Let's Go, you were also maybe trying to experience
Yeah,
the breadth of it, whereas with Yellow, it was like
it's like
just
I
hitting
did
the.
this. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did this before, so I'm just beating the game.
Yep. Well, cool. Well, yeah, I think we'll have to hold off on the Discord questions for now, and we'll come back to them and
That
use
means we're
all of
gonna have
them.
so many
We're
questions.
gonna have so many
We're gonna
questions
have so
next
many
time
questions next week because
because there's a bunch
then
of these.
people in the Discord are gonna ask more questions.
Yep. So
That's
there we
fine.
go. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Comment down below. Let us know what's the silly question for today. Um, mm, uh, when is pizza less good than steak?
What?
I don't really know. Different question than that. Feel free to answer that if you want. I don't know what it means.
Okay, so are there you know how there's like dog people that are like dog people? It's like, oh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
this is that type of dog.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is there cat people
Mm.
that are like, oh, you know, this is an orange tabby, you know, like that sort of thing. You know, like they know like every like breed of cat because this like
Mm-hmm.
there's certain cats that's like I look at and I'm like I know what that cat is. You know, it's a
Yeah.
Siamese cat, or that's an
Mm-hmm.
orange tabby or whatever, right? But other than that, like cats are just cats, dude.
Yeah, I know. I've seen like some gifs before, not gifs, but memes of like, a dog owner. Yeah, this is my dog Janice. She's a Bernese Mountain Dog with
Yeah,
Lola, and then it's like, this is my cat Rachel. She's orange.
yeah, exactly,
Like,
exactly. So, do
yeah,
you
pretty
think,
much.
or do you even know any cat people? Let us know in the
Yep.
comments.
Let us know in the comments below. All right.
Goodbye.